decided to make your way down to sort of a dual purpose trek to the south.
Well, first off, didn't we meet Grayson again? Pretty much, according to Soren.
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
Storm believes. Yeah. So yeah, I forgot. You went to Ornheim first, and Alistair Kane, and Alistair Kane offered you some jobs. He offered you some equipment. Um, what the hell, Ivar? I wanted to call you Bjorn.
Mhm.
Ivar, you decided to ruin all my fun and cast detect. What was it? Good, evil, and good, or
It was that, and I knew he was something more. No, no, no. That one didn't work. I don't. I
yeah,
just sensed something, but then I did my paladin thing, the divine sense,
yeah. So
and
you
I knew he
determined that
was.
he was
Yeah,
something other than just a normal human that he appeared to be. So you couldn't tell if he was like a fiend or an angel
yeah. It was
or
either really, really good or really, really bad, pretty much.
yeah, but you can't tell what it is based on the wording of that. So
I
yeah,
mean, let's be honest, it's
but
a
you
wild
Yeah, it's
Grayson.
that.
so yeah, I mean, so yeah, it was one of those things that he could have been um a celestial, a fiend, or undead. So really, it's one good thing or two bad things, I guess.
Hmm.
Um, but he was one of those things. Um,
That name just doesn't sound trustworthy, Alistair Kane. It just
it
doesn't.
it does have a bit of a sinister
Yeah,
sound to it, doesn't it? But I think
you
that's
like
because
picture like a guy with like a thin goatee, like twiddling his fingers together.
So
I
Grayson.
think it's
Yeah.
for me. I think it's the name Alistair, which I mean, it depends because it's like if you aren't familiar with like the occult, I guess like Alistair, Rob, you'll recognize Alistair is in Dragon Age, for example, which is
Yes.
where where I pulled that name from. But then there was like Black Sabbath sang a song about Alistair Crowley, and Alistair Crowley was an occultist. So that has a bit of a sinister um, name, connection to it as well. But
I mean, also
yeah,
take into consideration Cain from Cain and Abel.
well, that too. But yeah, um, but yeah, I took
I just think
Alistair
of
from.
Alistair from League of Legends.
Well, I've never played League of Legends, but I took Alistair from Dragon Age. I'll tell you that much. That's where I came up where I stole the name basically, just because I liked that
Does
character.
he lick lampposts?
I don't think so. Um, I guess Morrigan would have been a much more sinister name than Alistair if you're talking about Dragon Age. But anyway, you did uh, discover that he was one of those things, good or evil, not sure. But he was very helpful to you. He was very pleasant to you. Gave you a 50% discount on his wares. Also,
Yeah, pretty much
uh,
let us get everything we need.
yeah, and also showed you some magical items that he had. Being obviously very trusting of you all, giving you this information, especially given the fact that you all had just been put in prison for doing essentially what he's doing right now. Um, so you got geared up. He also gave you each one healing potion as well. Um, and then essentially, Soren was interested in the Archmage, and Ivar was interested in Bariana and the goings on there as far as the undead is concerned. And Lena was also somewhat interested in the Archmage, and given the fact that she was kind of overruled in the sense that everyone wanted to go south, and she was more
Well,
interested in.
isn't it also like the North is kind of like a no go zone right now?
Well, I mean, there are certain things going on right now. So Baranor has been accused of treason almost. Um, and just to sort of refresh, Baranor is essentially a dwarven city on Valinor. So it is ruled by dwarves, and it is sort of a stronghold of theirs. They've been accused of actually conspiring with a foreign government to overthrow the Ashran Empire, which the leaders of Baranor think is insanity, and they believe that uh, Queen Ashra or Empress Ashra, depending on how you'd like to address her, um, is paranoid and losing her mind. Um, Farendale, that general area. So if you're looking at the map, sort of like in this area and around these foothills and such, there's an outbreak of not I wouldn't go so far as a full scale war because they're probably not large enough to be considered armies, but you've got the tribes of the orcs and the tribes of the northern Megaros Mountains fighting out in the fields. Stonefall again being uh, rumored to have occult activities. The leaders of the Stonefall either being murdered or disappearing, and then, of course, the rumors of the vampires as well. Nobody's really verified any of this information yet. So yeah, the northern area is a little bit rough. Also, wanting to avoid Tessera as much as you possibly can, given that Sorn and Ivar both are wanted. Lena does not have any outstanding bounties that you saw, at least. You did find a wanted poster of Sorn in Ornkaima. Also, this week I was thinking, it's completely off topic and random, but I was thinking like just thinking about Sorn as a character now and from where he started and where he is now, like the description of Sorn is actually kind of badass now, right? Like he's this drow with like this scarred face and a missing hand, and he's this like, battle wizard. It's like just like that's a really cool, like I don't know. I was thinking about it this week. Just thought it was a really cool like description of a character at this point.
What, and has a
Especially because
bounty from the Empire?
well, yeah, but it's just kind of a cool like like thought of the way this character would
Fucking
actually look.
his stump shoots out like a fucking spectral hand
Yeah,
projectile.
exactly. It's like if I had described that character as an NPC, like that would be a cool description of a character. So
Well,
anyway, you
we
did
can
make your
save
way
him.
down towards the Archmage, and you did actually find his tower. And around his tower, you found a bunch of undead, which you dispatched, and then made your way into the tower, um, and eventually found uh, a secret door, essentially, that allowed you to, because you'd been going up sort of these stairs over and over and over again, and it just looked like the same thing just constantly, and found a secret entrance that opened up into a hallway that had 10 doors, um, all saying dumb things. And you chose, I don't remember which one you chose, but it was the wrong one.
Yeah, I think I chose one door and you have no choice.
Yeah. So that would be essentially door number one, because I'm sorry, that would have been door number two, because door number one said 0 doors and you're trapped.
Yeah.
The first door said 1 door and you have no choice. The clue was, and I'm going to again give you the big the big clue. There are 10 doors, and only one of the doors mentioned the number 10. But we will go ahead and move down to our battle map, and everybody roll initiative.
Oh yeah, I forgot. Shit.
I mean, you assume I know what the fuck I'm doing.
Hey, you're the wizard.
Hmm.
That means you have like as soon as you choose that class, that means you get smart like for real too.
Yeah, it didn't work that way.
That's
Like
why I
when I was
play
playing Bjorn, I looked like a bodybuilder. Now I don't anymore.
that's why I always play a barbarian. Nobody expects anything from me. All right, Sorn, you are first. And technically, you're in a hallway, so you should all be like this should be here, and you guys should basically all be like in a row, essentially, because it's like a 10 by 10 hallway.
Okay, if that's the case, I will cast Poison Spray at the mimic behind the door.
Let's see. 15 hits.
Oh no, that's save.
Oh yeah. Saving throw. 18.
Never mind. Yep, that's my turn.
All right, Lena, you're up.
Lena's going to shoot a gun. Actually, I think she'll that way and then. And
God,
she's also bonus action second wind for some HP.
those rolls you get are ridiculous.
A 29 and 29, a 22, and yeah, that is ridiculous. Okay. So all of those hit.
And that's it.
All right.
All
Evar.
right. This is something that was behind the door, right? It wasn't the door was a mimic.
No, this is the door.
Okay, it is the door.
As it jumps off the wall, you can
Okay.
see there is nothing
right.
behind it.
All right. I didn't know if I was going if it was. All right. So yeah, I will just step in between.
It is a mimic that
Okay.
was appearing to be a door. Yeah.
All right. I will step in between it and Sorn, and I will go ahead and slash at it with my longsword. A 15.
That hits.
All right, and take my second attack. An 11 probably misses.
It does.
All right. Yeah, and that I will just try to keep it at bay and focused on me.
Alrighty. It is the mimic's turn. Let's see. What can this thing do? Because the last time we had a mimic, it was a table, and you guys destroyed it instantly, so I didn't actually get to use it.
Didn't we catapult it?
Yeah, you catapulted like a big pot and just like destroyed it instantly. It was like, all right, well, that was fun. All right. All right, so it's a 19 to hit.
19 does hit me.
All right, so you take 11 points of bludgeoning damage.
All right.
And let me see, what does it say? Okay, never mind. That does not apply for now. All right, Soren, you're up.
I'll take 2 steps to the left and try and summon the spectral hand and chill the door.
Yes, sir, that hits.
And it now has disadvantage. Oh no, only if it's undead. Never mind that.
This is considered a monstrosity.
Yeah, it only gets disadvantage if it's an undead, so just did 12 damage.
Ready? Alina, you're up.
Yay!
Jesus Christ. It's like impossible for you to roll anything under like a high teen.
All right, so that definitely hits, and it is looking quite damaged at this point. So, Ivar.
All right, 1 for 10 damage, and then 13. I don't know if that would hit.
Actually, they both hit, and the first one would have killed it anyway, so.
All right. All right. Are either of you two like hurt?
No.
Better since my second wind.
Yeah, I've got like I'm missing 4 hit points, so no.
I'm missing 7, so not bad at all.
All right, then I will kind of just mutter a prayer under my breath, and I'm going to use 15 points of my lay on hands on myself.
And Lena's going to reload her pistol.
It seems this place has a few surprises.
Yes, perhaps
I I believe we should all go to the door with the number 10 on it.
No, uncanny. I thought the exact same thing.
Otherwise, we'll just keep fighting mimics if you'd like. We can keep doing that if you want, because every other door is a mimic.
It's as if there's some godlike being telling us, don't be idiots.
Well, the only reason that I'm giving that away is because there isn't a riddle. Like, there's nothing that you could actually figure out. Like, that's the thing that is frustrating to me about it, was that like it's just stupid. Like, there's no way that you could sit down and figure that out because there's not enough clues to like decipher it. So anyway, we'll just say that you went to the 10th door, and you open that up, and when you do, you see before you, on the opposite side of this door, a very dense and tropical jungle, that's completely thick with vegetation, massive trees, and there's like chest high vegetation and twisting vines, and you can hear um, sort of shouting and growling from above you. And like if you look up through the jungle canopy, you can see a few glimpses of like large winged creatures up in the sky. But right in front of you, right outside of this door, you can see a cleared path. It's about 10 feet wide, that appears to be leading through the jungle.
It seems we have a path to follow.
Are we not worried about? And he kind of just looks up.
We could try to be sneaky.
I agree, yes.
Try being the keyword.
With disadvantage.
Yep. Ooh, 13, not the worst.
And no Ayla with her passive without a trace.
Yeah, no more pass without a trace.
You get a ranger in there to do pass.
I mean, I think I'm good with a +7.
Yeah, I mean 22 and 20. I mean 13, 20, and 22 are pretty good. So you the canopy's pretty dense, so you're feeling pretty confident in your ability to sort of sneak around without these creatures above seeing you. And after traveling for that path a little bit, you come upon this massive sort of cylindrical hole in the ground, and you can see that there's this ramp that leads downward around the edge of the hole, and at the bottom, you can see there is a door, and there appear to be a few corpses at the bottom, like sort of like smashed up against the door.
I will quickly check if they are undead corpses or anything like that.
You do not sense anything, no.
Okay.
Can we see drag marks coming from anywhere else besides this hole in the ground?
Well, I mean, it's essentially like 100-foot drop hole in the ground, and then they're like around the perimeter of this hole. There is these stairs that lead downwards into this door where you see these corpses. You can't really see the bottom of the hole. The stairs leading down don't go quite as far down as the hole appears to.
Any suggestions? It seems if we go down, we might struggle to get back up.
I mean, there are stairs leading down to the door, so.
Well, is there any? Why do you think the things down there died? Poison or something? Or a trap?
It's possible, but we'd have to get closer to investigate.
This is someone who most likely thinks as you do. What would you do if this was your home, your tower?
I believe I would make most things a trap.
I I will go first if this is what you want, but um, I think that we have which way we need to go.
Very well.
Or Sorn and I can also like investigate for traps, make sure that we're not going to trigger any as we go down.
This will work.
Yeah. Do you want to roll with advantage or should I?
I think yours is marginally better than mine, so go ahead.
You do not sense any trap.
It seems to be clear.
Yeah, I don't see anything either.
Hmm? We should proceed with caution.
Agreed.
Yeah, sounds good. I definitely still don't trust it.
And who wants to lead the way? You want me to go first?
Whoever wants to go first.
Yeah, I'll start walking down.
Yeah, Lena would follow.
Right here. All right, so you get down to the bottom of the stairs there, and you notice there's about 5 corpses. From the looks of it, um, they've been here a while. Um, looking at they're not skeletons, and you can see that it looks like they're probably I'll do an investigation check in addition to your trap investigation down here.
And Lena would help again.
So it looks like there's probably about 3 half elven females, and looks like there are 2 human males. Um, you would assume or guess maybe that they um, had perished trying to find their way through the tower, same way that you guys are. But you can see that their equipment is covered with rust and is quite unusable at this point. However, they do have about 70 gold pieces on them if you'd like to take that.
Yes.
Since you're all poor, that seems like a good choice.
Mm-hmm.
Not proud enough to not take it.
So curiously, at the door that you see there appears to be unlocked.
Well, perhaps check this for traps instead of just rushing.
Seems like a fine idea. And I'll check for traps.
The door doesn't seem to be in particularly good shape at this point, but it does not appear to be trapped. Looks like these adventurers may have tried to beat it down at some point.
Seems we should be able to open it with not much effort. It seems our forebearers here did a number on it.
Well, if you do not mind, I'll go first.
Very well.
Can I walk up and listen to see if I hear anything on the other side before I...
Yep. Seems quiet.
Okay. Um, and does it open inward or towards us?
It inward.
Okay. I'll creep it open and poke my head in and give a quick look before I open all the way.
You see a wall. Seems like it opens into a hallway of sorts.
Okay. Then I will go ahead and open it and step on in.
All right, I will move you guys to the terrible map that I have.
Where are we on the map?
Should be the bottom right.
It's completely black for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. Roll 20, you jerk.
And you expected everything to go smoothly.
And then oh, I know why. Whoop. I moved your tokens to the wrong layer.
Oh.
So you guys were on the
Ooh, I
map
can see.
layer.
Yep.
Yeah. You guys were on the map layer, not token layer.
Yeah.
Alright. So we came in from this way, right? Not from this door
Yeah, you came in from
or this hall.
You came in from where Soren's standing.
Okay. All right. Uh, I guess we should try to be quiet again, right, guys? Yes.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Can you see in the dark?
Yes. Yes.
All of you can see in the dark.
I'm just making sure, considering the amount of time we spent with someone who couldn't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No. Half elf. Yeah. So I can see in the dark.
Yes, we should probably try to remain as quiet as possible.
Well, allow me, and he will go ahead and start trying to stealth ahead.
Yeah, make sure that the paladin stealth's in the front.
Yeah, there we go. I got it, guys. Don't you worry. Can I just take one of her leftover rolls?
Yeah. I'll take her disadvantage roll.
Yeah.
Wow. So they cover you for the 26s. They can cover for you.
All right.
Oh, I'd hope so.
Just stick pillows under his feet as we go.
Yes,
This is a door, I'm assuming.
it is.
Okay. I'm gonna keep going down first and take a peek around this end.
Long hallway.
Okay, and another door here. It looks like.
Yep.
All right. Well, should we look back here first or continue on?
Yes, might as well look at the doors as we come by them.
Soren, would you mind making sure it will not explode?
Ah, of course. I will check for traps.
No trap. Also not locked.
I will open the door. It seems to be some form of restroom.
Perhaps this is just my way of thinking, but I do not believe we should be ransacking through this, especially with hopes to meet this tower's owner.
Agreed. We should probably try to deal with him first. Then we can find out what this section is.
Agreed.
At least we know there won't be something coming from behind us.
I mean, looking at it, even without an investigation check, I mean, it looks kind of like a guest room, basically. I mean, there's some beds and some trunks. They don't look like treasure trunks. They look more like wardrobes that you would put like stuff in.
Okay. All right. So yeah, we go around, and I will just stand to the side again as Soren checks doors and such.
Yes, I would like to rogue.
Doesn't appear to be trapped, although it does appear to be locked.
I will attempt to rogue. A 13.
Actually, a 13 is enough to open the door.
Oh shit.
You notice that this place appears to be somewhat old and run down. Like the doors, it's a pretty simple lock. So even with 13, somewhat simple.
I'll open the door. It seems to be empty.
So do an investigation check. So you can see that this room has a bunch of broken boards and splinters of wood, and there are some coins scattered around the floor. And you can see two pillars in the room. That's what those little black things are. And there's a weapon rack, which you can't really see very well because of the zoom in on the map, but it's that thing. And then there's also a chest there. It looks like the room has probably been ransacked at some point. And you can see with a 22 that over here there appears to be like a it appears to be like a false door or a false wall rather, where it looks like you because you can see this sort of like green light that's emanating from crack in the wall over there.
It seems we found a secret.
If you, I'll include some more information with your 22. The weapon rack has a short bow and a light hammer. If you choose to pick up the coins, there are 250 copper pieces, there are 100 silver pieces, and there are 50 gold pieces on the floor. You can see that the pillars are actually somewhat ornate, and they look like they were made at some point to hold like art. There's like cutouts in there, like like busts or statues of some kind. And the chest, if you look at it, is unlocked as well. I don't know if you want to look into it.
Sure. What's the worst that can happen? A mimic?
Inside the chest, there's an additional 75 copper pieces and 10 more silver.
Awesome.
So all told, it would be 250 plus 75. I can't do math. And then 110 silver pieces.
We could probably leave that for now.
Okay.
Do I need to roll anything to check trapped secret door?
Do I guess do a perception check. So you're kind of like moving your hand along the wall, and you can kind of see that this is somewhat curious in that it seems quite haphazard. Like this is like you're getting to the point where you think this has almost been purposely done to like this is just too obvious for this to be normal. But you do find a little like spot that you can like push in, and the door slides open, and everybody roll initiative.
Okay.
Oh, is this that one encounter that we may have missed?
No. This is one you were probably going to get.
Oh, that's a flaming skull.
Didn't come up? No. There we go.
I'm just really curious about how Roll20 can be so terrible. Like how you can click on a character sheet and it takes like a full minute for it to actually do what you clicked on. Like I just really
Because they're
it
busy
boggles.
working on how to zoom in on maps.
Yeah, that nobody asked for. I just don't get it. I don't know how it can possibly be this laggy. All right, Lena, you were up.
Okay. She's gonna shoot stuff. She will shoot this one.
All right, well, both those definitely hit.
Yep, and then she'll move right there.
God, Percy could have only dreamed of having these kind of rolls. All right, Thorn, you're up.
I will cast Chill Touch on the same one. Yep, I think that did it.
A bit of a misnomer. Chill touch being necrotic damage and not like cold damage.
Yeah, I know. It's like the chill touch of the grave.
All right.
I'll take 2 steps back.
But it actually does still take half damage from that.
If it's undead, it also has disadvantage on its next attack.
Ready? And it is turn. Boy, it's terrible. Let's. All right. It attacks twice with disadvantage. It's a 16 and an 18. Does that hit you, Sorn?
It would, but I'm going to cast Shield. So my AC at the moment is 21.
Right. Other one's turn. All right, Lena, 22 and a 14.
22 hits.
All right, so you take 10 fire damage.
Ouch.
And Ebar, it is your turn.
Okay. Walk up. I see it. 2 longsword attacks. 11 and 9.
Those both hit.
I don't know if it is, since it's not magical or silvered, it might not be full, but
Yeah, it actually. They are not resistant to slashing damage. All right. Lena.
Yeah, she will go over there, and instead of firing the one in front of her, she's going to fire the far one. and take a step back.
They both hit. But actually they are resisting damage. So I probably should on the head, but whatever.
Okay.
Right, so that one's looking pretty rough at this point. Soren, you're up.
I'm just going to measure something. Actually, no, that's a terrible idea. Instead, I'm going to take a drop of water, force it into the shape of a dagger, and launch it at the one in the back at level 2.
Okay.
I am casting Ice Knife.
Right. That hits it and that kills it. It explodes into a ball of mist.
See, I was about to cast Burning Hands and suddenly remembered, oh wait, Flaming Skulls.
Fire with fire.
All right, so it was that one's turn, but it's dead. Is this one's turn? So, at this point, let's. Oh, all right, so everybody go ahead and make a what is it? Dexterity saving throw.
Yeah, I know what exactly what this is.
All right, Sorn and Ivar, you succeed.
Uh-oh.
Yep, it's
Well,
not
I
going to
mean-
be fun.
Yeah, well, it's not a particularly high level. So, Lena, you take 15 points of damage, and Ivar and Sorn, you take 7 points of fire damage as it casts Fireball.
Lena looks very burnt and very hurt.
And it is Ivar's turn.
Okay. I will walk up, and at level 2, I'm going to cast Cure Wounds onto Lena for 14.
Nice.
Yay.
And yeah, that's my I can't do a attack since I didn't attack. That's my turn.
All right, Lena, you're up.
She is going to... Yeah, she'll use one grit point to... Like, I'm assuming that her range weapon attack is going to be a disadvantage now because she's right in front of it.
I believe that is the case, yes.
Okay, so she's going to use a grit point to take this one pistol shot at normal roll after reloading her pistol. So wasn't necessary, but okay.
All right, so it is taking half of that damage. So Roll20 is doing that weird thing again. So like when you click on the token and then you click on the health, and then it, for whatever reason, and I'm curious as to what function this does. It, when I click on it, it auto inputs my email address that is like connected to my Roll20 account. And like, so when I click on it, it says, here's your email address. Instead of like, you can do like +5 or plus whatever, and so like it puts my email address in the little box for some reason. Don't know why that happens, but it's really terrible.
Apparently, Roll20 wants to share your email address with the world.
Apparently. All right, Soren, it is your turn.
I am going to attempt to run around it and cut it in half with my primal hand.
Acid damage, eh? That does not kill it, but it is looking quite hurt at this point.
Yep, that's all I've got for now.
And it real quick, it didn't say for me how much damage did we took 7 right from the.
Yeah, you took
Yes.
7. You and
Okay.
Soren took
All right,
7.
it didn't say for
and I
me.
took 15. And it is this creature turn again. Lena, it's going to attempt to attack you twice. An 18 and a 25.
25.
A 25 is actually a crit as well. So let me
Oh,
pull up
dear.
Wait, I have something. I'm forgetting what the new character, but I have something.
Protection?
Yeah.
a reaction.
Yeah, I can impose disadvantage on the attack roll. So maybe that cancels out the crit.
Do you have a shield?
Yeah, I always have my shield on. That's why I have 18 AC.
Gotcha.
And I've been using the long sword one-handed, so.
Where was that last session where he crit me twice?
You weren't next to me.
Someone will remember this.
So I guess it depends on how you want to interpret the rules, because there is the some people play it like this, and I'll let you guys decide how you want to handle this, because it will apply to you guys as well. So there's the way that you can handle it as in a nat 20 hits no matter what. So even with like if you cast shield, it doesn't matter because it's a natural 20, so it hits regardless of whatever happens. There's that way of interpreting a natural 20, or there is you can negate that with other things. I don't think that there is a raw rules as written. I don't think there's anything specifically states that. There is a natural 20 on an attack hits the creature regardless of its AC. The shield spell only increases AC. It contains no wording that it negates a natural 20. Therefore, a shield spell does not prevent a hit from a natural 20. So, I mean, I don't know how you guys want to handle that, because it would apply to you guys as well. So if you roll a nat 20 and I do something that would negate it, or a nat 20 hits no matter what.
I mean,
nat 20 hits no matter what is generally an older, like in the previous versions of D&D, that was always the case. I don't think it's ever been explicitly stated in 5e. I may be wrong.
I mean, for myself, there's been quite a few situations where if I would have cast shield, I would have gone over the crit hit.
Yeah, but that's not the point. They're not. Yeah. It doesn't. They're not saying like no matter what. They're saying that if you roll a natural 20, no matter what it bumps up to. So like in this case, it was a 25, but it was a natural 20. So regardless of what it could have been a 21 or it could have been a straight 20, but it was a natural 20, and therefore it hits regardless.
My thing isn't about canceling out the crit. Mine actually gives disadvantage on the attack.
Right, but that's the thing. Like it's not about that. So like even if you're saying that like an AC, it's that a natural 20 hits regardless of what happens. It's that it's a 20 no matter what.
Well, that would kind of negate the whole grave cleric thing too, then, wouldn't it? How they can negate critical attacks if you're.
Well, I mean, I think that if it specifically states negating critical attacks,
Yeah,
like if
true.
it says that, then that would apply. But I mean, I'm open to either interpretation of it. But I mean, I know in 3.5, I'm like 90% sure that was always the case, that a natural 20 hit regardless of what happened. And there was no way to. So like if for example, like, I had rolled a 25 total, but it wasn't a natural, then this would apply and it wouldn't make any
Yeah.
difference. But
I mean, it's up to you. My thing is, I kind of took it as mine could negate it just because the whole, it's not rolling the 25 anymore. It is making it roll the lower of the two rolls. But I mean, again, it is rolling a natural 20 first, so it's kind of up to you.
I mean, what do you guys think? I mean,
if you took it as how it's written there as protection, the two rolls you made with the two attacks were, what was it, an 18 and a 25. So by that,
yeah,
that would just
the
make
first,
it...
well, it attacks twice. So the first was an 18, and then the second one was a natural 20, which bumped up to 25.
Yeah, so you could say that if you combine the two rolls together, that would make the first attack. Because it was a little late on, I've also got this.
Yeah, again, this is completely new for me, so I'm still trying to remember everything too.
And I'm just trying to read a little bit more, and so natural 20 is still an automatic hit. So it says, we know that a critical hit is by definition an automatic hit regardless of AC, thanks to the basic rules of making an attack. If the D20 roll for an attack is 20, the attack hits regardless of any modifiers or the target's AC. This is called a critical hit, which is explained later. Blah blah blah. If you score a critical hit, you must have a hit. But this seems to be mostly related to like AC. So like in the shield spell, for example. So regardless of your AC, a 20
Yeah,
will always
I
hit.
definitely agree with. No matter what, I don't think
Yeah.
you should be able to negate it with like
Absolutely.
even if like a level 1 rolls a crit on a dragon, no matter what the AC is, and if you roll and you have a negative strength modifier, you still get a crit on him. Like,
Yeah, because it's still feasibly possible.
All right. So actually, we got it from Jeremy Crawford himself. I just looked. So this was, and I think this would be applicable. So somebody asked Jeremy Crawford, the guy who wrote 5e and the rules. He said, "Can I cancel a natural 20 critical hit using cutting words, which is a bard spell?" And he says, "Cutting words can't nullify a critical hit. No bonus or penalty can."
Works for me.
I feel like
That's
this
fine.
would not work. So you can keep that in your pocket there.
Yeah, I mean, it's just my reaction anyway, so all good.
So yeah, going forward, and that'll be applicable to you guys against me as well. So if you roll in that 20, it's a hit no matter what. So I can't cast shield or do anything like that. It'll just automatically hit. That's an easy one to remember.
Well, I
will
assumed
always
anyway
take-
that's how it worked.
I mean, although I think that, like Mike brought up a good point. I think that like the Grave Cleric, it specifically states that it can negate
and that still hits too. It's not like it cancels out the hit entirely. It would still hit the person. It's just you don't get the critical damage.
Right.
So yeah, I'm absolutely fine with that.
All right. So let me pull up our little crit thing here to see if anything cool happens.
Limp.
It bites off your trigger finger.
Oh dear.
Luckily, she's got other digits.
All right. So roll a D100.
That's high-ish. I
Also,
just noticed there was a thing called fudge in the dice roller. I have no idea what that is.
Yeah, I've never
Also,
understood.
I think you're unconscious anyway
Oh yeah, probably.
because you took 24 points of damage from just the.
Yeah, definitely unconscious.
And let's see what else happened. What other terrible thing happened?
Watch it be like, if brought to 0, she dies flat out.
This is a dangerous roll that she did here.
Only use a gun for one session.
Make a DC 14 Constitution saving throw.
Oh no.
No!
All right. I don't think it matters because you're unconscious. You would take an additional damage, but it doesn't matter anyway.
Yeah, I don't think additional damage would have put me over.
No, well, it was
Right.
it was 1d4 extra damage, so it wouldn't have killed you outright anyway.
Okay.
But I'm not gonna make it like I'm considering this as like extra damage on top of that, so it's not like you.
It
I'm
would
not
have
gonna
been
make
all lumped in together.
yeah, all lumped together, so you wouldn't fail a death saving throw. However, at the beginning of your turn, you take additional damage.
Okay.
So essentially,
Like a
if you
wound.
fail a death saving throw, you would probably take 2 death saving throws. You lose them both on that first one. I think that's probably the way to do it because you're taking damage the next turn. But Ivar could probably.
Yeah.
Ivar's next anyway, so it's probably not going to matter. But yeah.
Yeah. I am going to reach down and give her the last 10 from my lay on hands. And I mean, I know I can't move anywhere, but I want to do my best to like be the barrier in between it and her. Even though I can't move in there, it's what he's going for.
Okay.
And that will be my turn. And I
There
have
you go.
1 spell slot left.
She's going to.
She still takes the damage, right? I'm just hoping it's not more than 10. That's all I had.
Oh, yes, the damage.
Yeah,
I pick you up and you just.
It shouldn't be. So you take 2 points of damage.
Okay. She's still alive. Now is to risk running away, possibly getting hit.
You could disengage.
Oh, yeah, that is true. Yeah, she is going to use her action to disengage and just run. Trust you guys. Do well. Oh, and bonus action, she's going to drink her potion, actually. Just in case something happens.
Okay.
I would like to bonus action peace out.
Soren, it is your turn.
I'm going to attempt to slap the skull around. 16?
Yeah, so that is enough. It actually, after that last one, it only had 1 hit point. So all that damage it did was with it almost being dead. So it is dead now.
Just stamping on it on the ground.
This is the same creature that Bjorn smashed Methandir to death with.
Mm-hmm. I was waiting for the freaking cry of death.
Well, yeah, I take that back. This is a variant of this is the true
Okay.
flame skull. The one that Methandir had was a slightly different version of this, but yeah, it did this the base version of this does not have that
Okay.
ability.
Thank God.
Yeah, this one just says fireball.
This one does have fireball, but only one of them, and it's not a high
Now,
level version.
These are actual skulls.
Yes, they're flaming skulls.
I pick them up and put them in my bag.
Okay.
There was 3 of them, right?
2 of them.
2.
Or what? 2? All right. Yeah. So I'll just take 2. I'll mark down that we have 2 undead skulls.
I'm going to investigate in here. Var, would you like
Before
to...
you walk away, I'm gonna. Oh yeah. Before you walk away, I'm gonna. I have a little bit of healing left. I can use for Lena. I would need to rest after.
Yeah, we could just rest without you using that.
I mean, we also had that room with all the beds in it.
That would be comfy.
Yes. All right. Well, then I will go ahead and just in case shit pops off again. Uh, level 2. You. Oh wow, that is a bad roll. You get
I'm
7 points of
so,
healing.
I'm so
Heck
sorry.
yeah.
You hate to
That
see
is
it.
Yeah. The last one I did was 14. It was double that. So. All right. Yeah. And then I'll look at Soren and say, what were you saying?
I was just about to say I'm going to investigate this room to see if there's any more of these little things hiding. If you wanted to deal with Lena.
No. She is as good as I can make until I get a bit of sleep.
Wouldn't mind a nap either, after we're done investigating here.
Understood. One moment then. Nice.
Oh shit.
I want everything! There's nothing in here. Shit. Wasted roll. I'm going home. Yeah.
Let's see.
Yeah, I've encountered those flame missiles in a different campaign of where I ended up fastball specialing it at a zombie and killing both of them.
This is why you need a gnome or a halfling.
No,
There
I
we
was
go.
playing as a Goliath, believe it or not.
All right. So, you find a number of things in here. You do find some containers that might prove useful to a wizard. There's some dried meat, there's some rice, there's some candles, some parchment, some inkwells, and some thread. And there is one box that specifically contains a wide variety of spell components.
I think I'm going to take the box of components and parchment and ink.
Additionally, you find a small bag of spices that looks like it could be worth a bit of money. And you also find a chest that contains 1,250 gold pieces.
I guess leave it for now.
Yes, maybe we can move it into the rest room and we can decide what to do with it later.
Well, we can always take some, leave the rest for now.
Oh, we should primarily focus on rest.
This is true. Would you like me to carry it to the other room?
Yes, I would give you a hand, but, you know, I'm lacking.
You literally only have a hand.
He kind of lets like a little chuckle out and says, "Do not worry, I can do this." And he scoops up the chest and we'll head over to the other room.
Just gotta say, that's got to weigh a little bit, hasn't it? Over 1,000 gold.
Well, let's
Probably.
see. 1,000 gold weighs, according to the sheet, 25 pounds.
Ah, that's not
Oh,
that
I thought it'd weigh a bit more.
Yeah, I would have assumed more too, but all right. So you guys gonna take a short rest?
Yep.
I think someone wants a long
Ah.
rest.
I need long.
Okay. The curse of paladins.
Yep.
So, are you going to choose to sleep for 8 hours?
Sure.
I mean, we should have someone keep watch just because we're in the middle of a fucking magic tower.
I mean, we're all half elves, correct?
Yep.
So we all have trance,
I don't think half elves have
Half elves
trance,
don't
though.
get trance.
don't they?
Mm-mm.
I don't think half elves do, but drows do.
Oh, okay. Then yeah, I've got trance.
All right. Then I could take the first watch, Lena could take the second watch, and then you could finish off.
That's fine by me.
Okey-doke.
Yeah, I'll just sit with my back to the door and take watch.
Although technically, I suppose that a half drow would still be a half elf, so you probably wouldn't have trance either. Actually,
Makes sense. I'll take it off the sheet. It was on that like sub race initially, so I just
yeah.
added it
I
on.
mean,
Yeah.
it's kind of that weird thing where like half drow is not like an official race, so it's kind of like you people kind of decide how they want to do it.
Yeah. Like I said, it's fine. It's easy enough to take off.
I mean, in general, it's not really going to affect much, regardless. I mean, so why don't we'll take a real quick break. I'm gonna go grab a drink while you guys take your 8 hours.
Sounds good.
Yep.
Back.
I'm back too. Bird is just playing with toy.
So yeah, I mentioned this in Discord, but watch The Mandalorian on Disney Plus, and if you are a Star Wars fan, it's pretty decent. Um, the ending was definitely a surprise. I was not expecting that to happen. The only thing I will say that it's kind of sucks about it is that it's a streaming service, right? Disney Plus. However, they're releasing it every week. So there's only one episode. They're not doing the whole Netflix thing where they release all of it at once, which is kind of annoying. The other thing that's annoying about Disney Plus so far is that like they list all of the like all the Marvel movies and all that kind of stuff. However, when you click on them to watch them, it says due to licensing agreements, this won't be available until like March 2020 because
Even though
like
they
Netflix
own
still has.
Marvel.
Yeah, right. But because they've leased the properties to Netflix and Hulu and all that other stuff. So it's like I wish they just wouldn't put it on there because you think, oh, I can watch this, and then you click on it and it says, yeah, well, we can't actually show this to you. And like some of them are even like December of 2020. It's like you should just not have this on here right now.
That's good to know.
So
Probably
yeah,
won't grab it until later then.
it's probably I would say wait like I don't know like I think it's 8 weeks at least 8 to 12 because so far the only thing that I've seen that's really worth watching um is the Mandalorian. The only other thing too is like if you ever I mean you guys are not as old as me but the like they have all of the old like Disney cartoons and stuff so like Darkwing Duck and
Nice.
all that stuff is on there and I'm like oh man like I remember when I was like in middle school I remember like coming home from school and watching Darkwing Duck. It was like the best. They do have DuckTales, but it's the new DuckTales from like 2 years ago and not the original one. And then they've got all of the old like Hannah Montana and all that stuff on there as well. It's like all the stuff that was on the Disney stuff back in the 2000s, like all those shows. Lizzie McGuire and all that stuff is on there. I never watched any of that stuff, but it's all on there now, so kind of
Yep.
cool.
I was at the age to watch like Lizzie McGuire and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
so that
That's
you
fun.
can go back and watch all that stuff because it's all there.
That's where I'm
And
of
like
the
you know,
age
like
of the
all of the old Disney movies, like
Animaniacs.
yes, the Animaniacs are not on there, but I don't think they because it's Warner
Animaniacs is
Brothers.
Animaniacs is Warner Brothers.
It's a bit.
I'm back.
I'm trying because they have so right now it's Star Wars, Marvel, National Geographic for some reason, and Disney, and they have a bunch of the old like Mickey Mouse cartoons and stuff like that as well.
Oh, those are fun. I love those.
And all of them, they have all of the Disney movies. They brought like they have Bambi and Little Mermaid and Aladdin and Beauty and the Beast and all that. They even have like the live action ones that they so like the Beauty and the Beast live action and all that stuff. I haven't seen any of those and I don't want to because that's just dumb. But I like the old cartoons.
And Nat Geo's on it because that's owned by Disney.
I mean, Disney owns everything. That's why like you can get Hulu and ESPN as well, as part of the package. I just got the basic Disney one, but yeah, we're talking about like the Mandalorian is pretty darn cool so far. It's only one episode and they're only releasing it every week. Stupid, but I was quite impressed with the first episode actually.
So I'm really digging the Dragon Prince on Netflix.
I actually dropped my Netflix subscription, and I've been thinking about picking it back up again because there are a few things, especially because even though I complain about it, I kind of want to watch The Witcher, and they actually even though The Witcher hasn't even released yet, they already renewed it for a second season.
Yeah, I can't wait for it.
I mean, for me, it's that weird thing again. Like I'm a huge fan of the books, and I'm a huge fan of the games. Obviously, I mean that's what my avatar is. Everywhere is the School of the Wolf from The Witcher. But I'm so attached to them now, and seeing what they've already changed is like. I'm just afraid that I'll be disappointed more than I am excited. One thing that like I did see a bunch of people complaining about was that the focus is not on Geralt. It's actually
there's the three main characters.
Right, and that's the thing is that the people that are all upset about that are people who've never read the books because like really like most of the books, with the exception of a few of like because there's like 3 books or 2 books I think that are sort of compilations of short stories. So if you discount those books, like the ones that are sort of like in the main arc, like they're almost all told from Ciri's point of view, not from Geralt's point of view. The games are obviously from Geralt's point of view, but the only people who have played the games are like, of course, because it's the internet and the internet complains about everything, but everybody's like losing their mind because they're like, oh, it's not about Geralt. Why is it called The Witcher? And blah, blah, blah. But it's like the books. The show's based on the books. The books are not really about Geralt. He's just sort of like I mean, for anything, he's kind of the side character, really. So it's interesting. I'm very attached to Triss Marigold, and I'm disappointed that one, she's not going to be in it that much. But the reality is that's because she's not in the books very much. But anyway,
I heard a lot of people were upset about her because like she's extremely detailed like in the books and stuff, and they're completely making her a different person.
Yeah, I mean, like she's explicitly stated and described somewhat like she is in the games, but she is stated as having actually cornflower blue eyes. Oddly enough, in the game she has green eyes, but and red hair and freckles. So she's a redhead. But in the show, I think she's African American. I'm not 100% sure.
I heard people complaining about it in the games too because they said it wasn't enough like the books.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, it's the game description of her is pretty close to the books. Her eye color is different, but the rest of her is pretty close. The only difference from the books to the games is that in the book she actually has a bunch of scars on her body, particularly on her chest because she was burned, and that is not apparent in the games at all. So some people complain about that, is that she has sort of disfiguring scars in the book, and she looks fine in the games.
I mean, people are always going to complain. It's the internet.
Yeah, it is. I mean, there's no pleasing everybody, but I'm just a little bit afraid that I'll just end up
The
being
last
annoyed
time
by
I
the
agreed
time
with
they
the
remake.
internet's outrage was when the Sonic trailer came out.
I agree, and the new one looks pretty great. Actually,
It
the
does.
new one,
It really does.
I mean, that is exactly how I would expect Sonic to look. So they did a good job. Of course, I've never been a huge Sonic fan, although I was, because again, I'm older than all of you. So like, I was around during the Super Nintendo versus Mega Drive
Mm-hmm.
versus Genesis era, and
Yeah. My first
I,
system was a regular NES.
I was, yeah, that was the first real game system I had as well, was the NES, and then
Well, that
I
was when
did,
I was old enough to play. When I had the Atari beforehand, but I was like 1.
yeah, and I was a Genesis kid. I had the Genesis before I had the Super Nintendo. So
Rest in peace, Dreamcast.
uh, Dreamcast was a great system, although I
It
did
was
not,
amazing.
though I didn't own it until I was older. I didn't own it when it was new, but I bought it used on eBay, and I remember playing like Shenmue and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They're releasing the third one of now, which is great.
Yep.
So anyway, these were all the dreams that you were having. You guys were dreaming about the Dreamcast, and you wake up. Nothing strange happened. Everything seems just as you left it before you went to sleep.
Okay.
I'd like to spend 10 minutes before we leave the room ritually casting Detect Magic.
Okay.
So as we're walking around this layer, at least, we can detect magic. Huzzah!
For 10 minutes.
It takes 10 minutes for 10 minutes of concentration.
Yep. So start running. You only got 10 minutes.
Yeah, I'll head on out. We'll go quiet again, or try to.
Probably best, yes.
6.
Got 12.
All right. Okay. Looks like it comes to a turn. I will peek around. Oh, and there is going to be another door coming up. Ooh, 2 doors actually. One here and one on the left.
Which door would you prefer?
And, well, I think probably best to do the one behind us. Watch our backs.
Very well. One moment.
Doesn't appear to be trapped.
Does it appear to be locked?
It is not.
Open door. Roll for initiative.
It is another mimic, and your hand is bitten off.
Well, shit.
So, in this room, it appears to be a storage area. So the walls are lined with shelving. So these kind of look like benches, but they're actually shelves. Various containers and boxes, very neatly arranged. And these appear to be sort of generic supplies, similar to what you found before. So like parchments and inkwells, bread and stuff like that. Nothing overly interesting.
Just a supply room. Nothing to worry about, at least.
Yes. Well, there is another one right here. Oh, and I'm assuming this is got to be like double doors because it's just blacked out at the end for me.
They are indeed.
Okay.
I would like to rogue.
This appears to be a fairly ornate looking door. Doesn't appear to be trapped or locked.
Would you care to do the honours, Ivar? Ivar?
Ah, yes, I can do that. And he will open. Kind of
So,
just looks like a
th-
study.
yeah, this is a pretty large room. Has a couch and two small tables, a bookcase, an armchair, and you can see that in the far corner or far wall, there's a tapestry with geometric patterns on the wall. You guys can do an investigation check if you'd like.
Yeah, so that's technically the range of detect magic.
I don't think you see anything.
Yeah, I'll give the room a quick look around.
Lena will help.
So, you see a bookcase that appears to have just sort of perusing it and the spines and everything. That there are probably maybe 2 dozen books about history and magical treatises. You would estimate that each of those books is probably worth not a lot of money, but they're probably worth some money. Um, you can see that there is on the table there's a pipe and some pipe weed. Um, the tapestry on the wall again has some geometric patterns in green and red. Looks like it's probably worth a decent amount of money as well if you wanted to try and tear it off the wall. Um, but that's mostly what you see. Basically, just it does look like a bit of a study, and there are some nice books in there.
Mhm.
Should we check this door as well?
Give him a nod.
This appears to be a rather simple looking door compared to the one that you used to get in here.
Hmm.
Not locked. I'm not even going to make you roll for it.
Okay. Trapped?
I mean, I'll say even without rolling it, it does not trap. It looks like just a like sort of an interior door that doesn't. You know.
Then I would like to door, please.
All right. So in here, it obviously appears to be a bit of a bedroom. Got a pretty large bed, comparative to the ones that you saw previously. There's a chest in there. There's a wardrobe. There is a a table with a sort of thick-looking book on it, and you can see that the furniture is um, quite well made and has some elaborate sort of engravings on them. Nothing like of any importance. It's just like engravings of like you know beautiful things. I suppose they're just very well made furniture.
Can I ask a question? Throughout our time in this part of the tower, how much dust is laying on surfaces?
Do a perception check.
Come on.
Not a whole lot.
So it's relatively looked after.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like there's probably somebody that's frequently using this.
Well, this seems to be his
Um,
bedroom, I guess. Should we
and
move on?
I'll say your detect magic is about to end, but before it does, the thick book on the table down to the south of you there does appear to be magic.
Yes, it seems like someone's resting private quarters. Well, that book is giving off some magical aura.
Well, this is an arcane user's tower. Hmm, should be expected to find some magical objects.
If you don't mind, I would like to see what it is. We don't necessarily have to bring it with us, but it might be important, it
Uh,
might not.
well, um, I do not know much about the arcane, but is it possible that it can harm you if he does not want you looking in it?
It's possible, but that's why.
And he walks out the door.
And I walk away.
Yep. And he just kind of pokes his head in. Oh, if I hear an explosion, I will be able to uh, hopefully help you live.
Can a
So you guys
book
can do an
actually explode?
In addition, you can also do an investigation check of the room besides the obvious, like see a book there.
Lena joins Ivar.
Hmm. He kind of just looks at her and shrugs and says, "Well, better safe than sorry."
So, within the desk beneath, or in the drawers of this desk, you find an inkwell, a quill. You'll find an additional large book that appears to be a journal. You also find in the wardrobe there are very fine looking clothes, mostly sort of robes that you can see, and there are a few pairs of fairly nice leather boots. You find the chest at the foot of the bed. There is it is full of again ink bottles, a wooden box full of quills. There are a few blank leather bound books, sort of like empty looking journals. They're probably worth a bit of money. And then there is a pouch of gold as well. And then of course the thick magical book.
Oh, we can probably leave the pouch of gold till a later time. Does the journal belong to anyone in particular?
This, if you're flipping through it, it does appear to belong to Markand, Mage Remus Markand. And just flipping through it like quickly, it seems to be sort of a documentation of his trials and tribulations attempting his chronomancy.
Um, can I look at the
It just-
last entry?
Um, Essentially paraphrasing, he's making mention of the fact that he feels like he's getting a little bit better. However, he's also found that um, as he gets better, he has also discovered that it can become quite dangerous to perform some of his magic, as he has noticed that he can, even though he appears that his chronomancy allows him to go back in time, essentially to view past events. He has noticed that he can actually be affected, at least partially, by the event. So if something terrible is happening while he's there in a vision, he can also suffer from some of the things that may be happening, which is a bit concerning to him. That's the last entry.
Okay. I'll stick my hand in the bear trap and open the book.
This does appear to be a spell book.
Take it.
Yeah, so the raccoon in me is telling me to take all the shinies, but
So I mean, I'll give you I'll give you the rundown here, right? And then if you choose to take it, I can give you like I'll type it, I guess. But um, there's 5 levels of spell within this spell book.
Jesus Christ.
So, level 1 spells, I'll just quickly run down the list here. There's Detect Magic, there's Mage Armor, there is Magic Missile, there is Shield, there is Charm Person, Disguise Self, Find Familiar, Grease, Illusionary Script, Color Spray, and Long Strider. Those are level 1 spells. The level
Holy
2 spells
shit.
are Misty Step, Suggestion, Arcane Lock, Dark Vision, Hold Person, Magic Mouth, Rope Trick, and Detect Thought. Those are level 2 spells. So these are the level 3 spells. Counter Spell, Fireball, Fly, Fear, Major Image, and Remove Curse. And the level 4 spells are Greater Invisibility, Ice Storm, Conjure Minor Elementals, and Locate Creature. And finally, the level 5 spells are Cone of Cold and Scrying.
That sounds very similar to Richter's spellbook.
That's pretty close, yeah, actually.
Holy shit.
To be fair, there was quite a few spells in there which I just lost.
Yeah, that's true. However, I will make mention that Conjure Minor Elementals is slightly different in my game than how it's written, because how it's written is garbage. Because conjure anything in 5e is like you can create an army of NPCs to fight for you. Just insanity. So those are all the spells that you find in that book.
I mean, yeah.
Quite a nice list there.
I don't think you should take it right now, Soren.
I agree. For someone like myself who has to learn the magic he wields, there is an extreme amount of knowledge here.
Can you ask him to teach you?
Hopefully.
It sounds like he's a pretty narcissistic guy. Maybe if you just say, "Wow, your magic is so amazing. Teach me your magic." Something, something.
Well, there's some magic in here that I had before my previous spell book was taken.
Oh.
We have left most everything we have come across untouched. Perhaps that will grant us some favor with the man.
Agreed. Even though it pains me to leave something like this here, we
We
should
can
try
always
to...
take it on the way out.
Agreed, but we should try to curry some favour at the very least. And someone will look pained walking away.
And then there were 2 double doors outside this, like in the hallway we just came out of. And I think everything else was looked through in here, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Tempt him some more.
That's a pretty good spell book.
He should have put a freaking robotic hand in there too.
I mean, yeah, there was too many temptations so far. Yes, I will check this double door to see if there's anything that's a trap.
So these doors are quite ornate looking. They have depictions of the sun and moon and sort of like these celestial sort of iconography, I guess. But they do not appear to be trapped or locked. Quite beautifully made, though. They do appear to be made of metal.
They don't appear to be trapped or unlocked. Could you open them?
Can I look at it real quick? Do any of the symbols mean anything to me?
They don't appear to be like religious in any sort of, more of a astronomical astrological, I guess a better term, astrological sort of thing.
Okay.
They open towards you, so they open inward.
Okay. Um, I'm not great at it, but I'm gonna put my ear up against the door and listen.
You're definitely not great at it.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
You don't hear anything though.
I am confident there's nothing on the other side of the door, so I'm gonna open it.
Righty.
What the fuck?
So
Is this a bridge?
yeah, so you see this is a very large chamber that you can see that there does appear to be a bit of a floor there, like a bridge, but you can see that the black area that you can see, there is no floor and there appears to be no ceiling either. There's just sort of blackness that stretches up and down as far as you can see, and there is a stone walkway that extends from one side to the other, and there appear to be double doors on the other side as well. And there are 8 sort of elaborately made statues that are sitting on these marble columns that are floating on either side of the walkway.
I cannot tell. I'm assuming it's something holding a sword, but it also kind of looks like a fucking phoenix.
They are. It's hard to really. They're not obvious as to what they are. I guess we'll say.
Okay. All right. I'm gonna look at Soren and just. Well, I cannot see across the bridge. Can you tell how far it is?
Unfortunately, I can't see it fully across as well.
Well,
If
best
you
to just get it over with.
if you give me a bit of time, I could try and send my dog across.
Your
Ivar
dog
kind of like
didn't
looks
die?
around.
I don't know, did the dog die? Considering it's a familiar?
I mean, if it did, you could just. Did you ever resummon it? I remember you got the like materials for it.
I got the materials, but I'm not exactly how I left it.
Yeah, I mean, I would say that if you had left the dog at the lodge, it would have been sent back to the Feywild.
Okay.
You would summon it. The real dogs that you had were dead.
That's fine. Yes, if you give me a bit of time, I can summon my dog to go across.
I'm trying to remember how long the cast was. That's an hour, right?
Summon familiar.
It is, yes.
And you have everything you need. Like you got the.
Also-
the only thing I remember is there's that weird brazier. It's like a certain type of metal. Because everything else is just like small components.
Charcoal, incense, herbs. Yeah, and it must be consumed in
10 gold pieces worth of charcoal, incense, and herbs. It must be consumed by fire in a brass brazier.
I was gonna say bronze, but yeah, brass.
So yeah, you probably don't have a brass brazier on you.
Well, never mind that idea.
You can probably buy a small one if you choose to later on, but at this point you would not have had it.
How does this sound instead? Would you like to go start walking across, and if something tries to hit you, I will pull you back?
I think we should be okay.
We could always just tie a rope to one end. One of us goes and the others slowly follow.
He kind of like looks back and forth between you two and just, well, wish me luck. And he just starts taking off jogging.
Oh,
So as you do, everybody roll initiative.
Fuck. I thought it was gonna be traps, not combat.
So as you start moving across, as soon as you step in line with the first statue there, the ones at the top, the ones at the bottom don't appear to move, but you see like this thing sort of appear from where the statues are and then move directly down on top of the the pathway there.
Do they look like constructs?
Maybe.
All right.
Oh God, Roll20. Why are you so terrible?
Well, I should clarify. I mean, do they look like they're man-made?
Maybe.
Well, I do not like how they look. I can tell you that much.
Hate Roll20 so much.
I'm just assuming eventually D&D Beyond is going to have something.
I'm hoping that somebody comes along and gives them, because there's like, what is it, Fantasy Grounds? It's like the only other place. Never tried it out, but it's the only other sort of like online
I
tabletop.
mean, I can honestly just see Roll20 selling to someone who can program better.
Like, I can't even click on these tokens. It's just sitting here, not doing anything. And I don't have anything open other than a singular character sheet. And that's it. And I
It's
can't
too
do
much to
anything.
handle. It's
Man,
like you're playing on freaking 56K.
It's unreal. And I have 300 download speed, so it's not like, my internet is slow.
I mean, I was playing games on the internet before 56K, and it wasn't that bad.
I mean, you used to be able to play World of Warcraft on dial-up 56K.
I played Ultima Online on dial-up well before WoW came out, and yeah, it was not fun playing on dial-up.
Yeah, the first MMO I ever played was Star Wars Galaxies.
I played that one too.
That was pretty cool until they changed everything, and then it was terrible. But
I actually like the what is it? Knights of the Old? No, it's not Knights.
The
Star
Old
Wars.
Republic. The Old Republic.
The Old Republic. Yeah.
Yep.
I really enjoyed that one too. I thought the PvP was fun and stuff. It's just that the player base was tiny.
It was. And I'm actually going to refresh my Roll20.
I mean, at least you only had one sheet open instead of 20 of them.
Even so, it always resets the music when you refresh as well, which is irritating. I don't know, but I don't even know if it resets the music for you guys.
Oh no, it's still playing straight through.
Just resets it for me, which is again the dumbest thing ever.
Thank God it's not something like ambient sound or anything like that you have set up, because it would be on different ones for all of us.
All right, let's see if it works now. So I'm going to stop the music and then I'm going to restart it because I would like to hear it as well. This is also a creature I have never used before.
Well, last time you said that, you almost one-shot Ayla, so it should be good.
Yep.
Now I can actually click on them.
Still regret not letting her die.
It's just so interesting, though, right? Because I mean, like, think of how different everything would be right now if it wasn't for that.
Bjorn literally turned his back on the thing to get hit by it to bring it back to the healer, and fucking. Oh, I hope he finds her one day.
I hope so too. That'll be fun.
I mean, she's a druid. I'm pretty sure druids would destroy a barbarian, but still.
All right, Lena, you're up.
Okay, she's going to step back and do.
Wow, everybody's rolls were terrible. Lena rolled 22, and the best was a 12 after that.
And she'll fire 2 shots at the front guy. Oh, at least the next misfire is okay. Haha.
Both of those miss.
Okay.
Don't you have to do something to see if it broke?
No, it actually broke, but the dwarfs, was it dwarfs or whoever in that place that we went to, fixed up her gun so the next misfire would be fine.
Yeah, that was the Skytop.
Yes, that's the place.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so they fixed her gun and also gave her some silver bullets so that her next misfire was negated.
So you have like one get out of jail free card.
Yes,
Yep.
basically.
And now that's done. So there it is.
So it is this guy's turn down here. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 21. All right. Evar.
You know, I was so close to casting Bless on everyone just because big double doors at the end of a hallway made me like Spidey sense tingle, but
So it's a 20 and an 18.
both will hit me.
All right. So you take 13 points of slashing damage,
All right.
which sucks for 2 hits, but yeah.
I'm
All
okay
right.
with it.
So it's this guy's turn. He will come up here and attack Sorn. It's a 22 and an 11.
The 22 will.
All right. So you take 8 points of slashing damage.
Oh.
And Sorn, it is your turn.
Well, I am going to start glow blue and enter the blade song. And for my action, I am going to split myself into 4 images and prepare for battle. And that's my turn.
All right. So this guy will come up here. 16 and 11.
Both miss.
All right. It is your turn.
All right. On the one that is back here, I'm going to go ahead and cast Compelled Duel on it.
I mean, it's currently fighting 4 Sorns.
Oh, wait, you used mirror image?
Yeah.
All right. Well, would I have noticed? Actually, I'm sure if
Yeah,
I look. All right.
you would have. Yeah. But
Okay. All right. Then yeah, in that case, I will go ahead and just. This is one bonus action for on my own weapon. I'll cast. Why is it putting spell input level 3 for everything for me? I will cast magic weapon on myself, which I should have one made, but I don't. So I will swing at the one straight ahead of me with my main action. It would be a 16 to hit.
that does not hit.
Okay. And that will be my turn because that's my bonus action as well.
And you can see that these guys are heavily armored, and as you swing your longsword, it actually has a shield as well, and it just blocked it.
All right. Well, fuck you, guy. And that's my turn.
I'll move here. So Lena, it is your turn.
Okay, she is going to use a grit point to make her next shot advantage with her Deadeye shot, and she will fire at the far one there. Plays with her pistol.
So I'm gonna give this to you. So the first one hits regardless of advantage. The second one would not. The 19 does not hit,
Yep.
but a 22 does. So I'm gonna give you that. I'm gonna let you use your advantage on the second shot, because it says on your next. I mean, expend a 1 grit point to advantage on the attack roll, and since you're rolling twice, I'm gonna let you just use it on the one that you would have needed it for.
Sweet.
However, you notice that even though you rolled double ones, it also does not appear to be taking as much damage as you would have expected it to, in the words of Matt Mercer.
Yep.
So it is this creature's turn. It's going to come down here for advantage on Ivar.
Oh, yay.
It's a 19,
Hits.
and then the other one was a 9 with advantage. So
All right.
you would take 5 points of slashing damage.
So I got to roll at least a 10. And I do not have magic weapon anymore.
All right.
Motherfucker.
So mirrored image. What do I have to do?
So you attack if
I think it's if you meet his AC, he rolls something.
Yeah, I have to roll a
You
d20.
targets you and attack. Roll a d20 to determine whether the attack targets you. Okay, so it rolls twice. A 25 and a 22.
So the first one hits me. The second one hits me. I was like, sorry, what were the attack totals?
25 and 22 were the attack rolls.
Is it 25? Is it a crit?
No.
I will shield and block one of them then. That gives
So
me
what's your AC with that?
25.
All right, so then you would block the second one then because the first one still hit. So you take 11 points of slashing damage.
I know
And
the pain. I just got bonked on the back of the head for 5 damage and lost my second level spell.
And it is your turn.
I will swing around to try and help my surrounded paladin. Yeah, I'll just try and attack at advantage. I'll just decide what I actually wanted to do.
$17 does not hit.
Yup. That's it for now.
Yeah. This one's turn. So with advantage on 2 hits, that's a 12 and a 17.
Oh, thank God.
So it is your turn, Ivar.
All right. All right. Yeah, just advantage on this one. I don't have the magic weapon anymore, so it's gonna be just a regular missing and hitting. Right, 20.
20 hits, yes.
All right. With 20, I will put a divine smite into it as well at level 1 for an extra 5 points of damage.
Is it undead or a fiend?
It is not.
Worth a go.
So I'm assuming the 7 is halved and then the 5 is fine.
Correct.
And I'm just going to give the other thing the finger from behind my shield because I'm pissed.
All right. So now from all 3 sides.
I would kill to have Thunder Wave right now.
All right. So it misses on the first one, but it's a critical hit on the second one.
All right.
6. But I rolled double 1s on the damage. That's
All
a
right.
5 and a 1. That was a 1 for the bonus. So it's 6 points of slashing damage. Plus, let me roll on the crit table. I rolled an 82, which is deadly. No, 82 is life-threatening.
Okay. All right. This will give me a new character sheet.
What was this? Hey, Bjorn's back.
Yeah, no shit. I had you're gonna find him in the next room. Like, I had a feeling you guys might need help.
What is this? Slashing damage? Okay.
Decapitation.
Make a DC 16 dexterity saving throw.
Nope.
You are now prone.
Okay, that's not as bad.
It swept your legs.
Okay.
Didn't chop them off.
No.
Yeah. Definitely not life threatening as I would have imagined, but I'll take it.
All right, Lena, you're up.
Okay. She's got to reload, so she's going to reload with her silver bullets to see if they make a difference.
Do
Hmm.
you only have Deadeye Marksman?
She's got Deadeye and one other one.
Just to say, if she
Um,
had push, that would be perfect.
Yeah, nope, she does not. Okay, so these are just gonna fire at this one right there.
Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Hold on. Hold
Yep.
on. Hold on.
Oh, I'm dead, aren't
Uh,
or my leg got cut off.
No, I rolled on your table, so it actually could probably be better for you than it was. Although that wasn't bad. Okay, yeah, we'll just keep you. We'll keep you as prone because I rolled the wrong one. All right, sorry. Go ahead.
Alright, so 2 shots with the silver. No, all the good rolls are done ages ago.
All right. So it's going against Evar again with advantage. That is a 19 and an 18.
Both hit.
And I'm rolling crap for damage, but you take 13 points of slashing damage.
All right.
It's this one's turn. It's actually going to come over here with Lena.
Oh, come on, right there. There's one more spot.
Attack of opportunity.
Yes, you get that. Actually, no, it was right here, wasn't it?
No, it was right here. Well, I was still in.
Okay, that's fine.
18 doesn't
18
hit.
doesn't hit anyway. All right, it's a 22 and a 13 to hit you, Lena.
22 hits.
So 12 points of slashing damage.
Ouch.
And Soren, it is your turn. These things are actually proving to be a lot more difficult than I thought they were going to be.
I'm going to move around to here. I'm going to eat a small amount of licorice root. Place my hands on Eva and cast.
Ready?
Ooh.
And that is my turn. So yeah, +2 AC, an extra attack, and double movement.
All right.
All right, so this one is a...
So I'll have 20 AC now.
Correct.
And with advantage, I rolled an 11 and a 20.
Okay, so the second one will hit.
6 points of slashing.
All right.
I mean, I'm trying to keep you alive.
I mean,
Oh, yeah.
you would have taken 18 points of slashing damage if you hadn't cast haste on him. So, because they rolled an 18 on the first one for 12 points of damage, but it didn't hit. So
All right.
you helped him.
Well, I either go ahead and heal myself and stay alive, or take advantage of the haste. Yeah, well, I won't be able to attack if I'm dead. So I'm gonna go ahead and
We get an additional action, so you should be able to heal and attack, right?
I thought it was an extra attack.
It says it gains an additional action on each of its
Ooh.
turns. That action
Okay,
can
then
only
yes.
one is that action can only be used to take an attack, one weapon attack only.
Okay, well then if I heal, I can still use that extra attack.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, so I want to get my bone. So I want to get 2 attacks.
Correct. You would just attack once and heal
Okay.
once.
Okay, so yeah, I'm going to use 24 out of my 25 points.
Nice.
And which ones have been hit so far?
The one to your left.
Okay, and I will take a swing at that one with my longsword for 11 damage, and I'm going to go ahead and pump a second level smite into this one.
Buddy.
Alright.
So I mean, even with that, I mean, it looks pretty rough at this point.
Don't you try to make me feel better about that.
You could have
Oh,
killed
God.
it if you hadn't rolled scrappy, but yeah.
Yeah, all right.
That's just horrible to see.
That's like when you're 12 years old playing a video game. You just unplug the system right there.
All right, so
But that is
is
my turn.
a 13 to hit and an 8 to hit. So misses you on that one.
Okay.
The one above you. And Lena, it is your turn.
Okay. Lena will again attack that one. Still with the silver bullets. Yay!
All right, so that one's dead.
Yay!
She's
And
making
then
us look bad.
and then she will go for that one.
All right, so it does take half of that damage.
And then she will action surge, another one, and then reload with normal bullets.
Oh, so I'm sorry. It would have taken full damage with the silver bullets.
Oh, okay. So knowing that, yeah, she'll reload the silver again.
Damn, that damage output is just nasty.
Yeah, I don't know if anyone plays League of Legends, but she is definitely our ADC.
That one. Did I skip? Oh, whatever. Thorn, you're up.
Yeah, and Yavar and Bjorn were our top laners.
Yeah, I'm a support that can't do shit.
I'm going to attempt to slap a construct. Nope,
Nope.
that's me.
This one does not have advantage where it is, so it'll move down here so that it gets it. So what's your new AC?
It is 20.
So it hits you on one of those, and you take
Okay.
12 points of slashing damage.
Okay.
And it is your turn.
All right. God, I wish I was Bjorn. I'd just try to push them both off. All right.
Or if you were Shield Master, you could use your
Yeah.
ability to try and push.
Yeah. All right, this one up here. I am going for 3 attacks. So, first one misses. Second one hits. All right. I will do a first level smite into this one
Hey!
for 9 points. Yeah. And my last attack on that one as well.
Actually, that is enough to kill that one with the
Okay.
Divine Smite.
All right, that's enough for that. Okay, sweet. Then the bottom one slash.
Nice.
I'm gonna save my spell, so I'm not gonna do any divine smite on this one.
Great. One's turn, but it's dead. So Lena, it is your turn.
Okay. So again, with silver bullets, she's aiming for the slower one.
Still nice damage.
First one hits. Second one doesn't.
And that is her turn.
So it's the one next to you's turn to hit you a 16 and a 17.
Nope.
All right, Soren, you're up.
I'm going to move forward and attempt to drag our new friend away from her. Could you make a DC 15 strength save, please?
Double 8s.
Wow. Has a +4 to strength saving throw, and I rolled a 6.
So, get over here!
And it does not have resistance to lightning damage, so it actually just dies instead of being pulled over.
Yay!
Although you pull its corpse over in front of you. And it would have been his turn, but he's dead. So Ivar, it is your turn.
All right.
Oh no, I wasn't I wasn't attacking him.
Are
Were you doing
attacking
this
the other
one?
I was getting the one next to Lena. Started pulling away
Alright.
from her.
All right. Well, then rewind. That one's still alive.
I mean, he's a paladin. He can take a few slaps.
So this one, are you pulling it like here?
I'm pulling him right next to me.
Okay. So he takes 16 points of damage, but he's not dead.
Yeah, that's fine.
And Ivar, it's your turn.
Wait, if he's not dead, that would be his turn, right? Oh wait, no, this one's turn before me.
Yeah, correct. So it is that one's turn. Yep.
Yeah, just let me get hit again. Thanks.
15 and 23.
Missing hit.
To be fair,
13
I
points
like
of
her
slashing
more
damage.
than you.
Completely fair. All right.
All right. So now it's your turn.
Okay. 3 attacks. 1 for
Yep,
sure.
that's-
3
yep.
damage.
That's dead.
All right. And then I will go move over this way and use my last 2 attacks for 5 and 4 so 9 total.
And it had 9 hit points left.
All right. And
You were complaining.
Ivar looks like he is ready to die.
But you
So
look
if it
really
makes you guys
pumped.
feel- If it makes you feel any better, I more than halved those enemies' hit points just before we even started the combat. Had they actually been what they were supposed to be, y'all would be dead.
Yeah,
I believe it.
I have less than a quarter HP, and if I use my spells to heal, I have nothing left. So
Do you
We
wish...
could take another short rest.
Yes.
Those are helmed horrors, by the way. I'd never used those creatures before.
those are dickheads.
They seem like we don't want to fight them again.
Yeah. Let's.
They're constructs, so they're resistant to basically everything, and they're also resistant to 3 magical spells that I get to pick. You guys didn't cast any that I had picked though, so
I swear to God, I was waiting for Soren to just run right here and start pulling them off.
could have tried it.
It was a possibility, but no, I was more intending to get them over here, so Lena would have a clear and safe shot on them.
Mm-hmm. No, if I would have had Thunder Wave for some odd reason, they would have gone flying possibly. All right.
Yes, would you like to
So do
go
we
back
want to
into the hallway?
continue on?
What's
to
even
rest?
better is that had you done that, the way that this room works is that essentially they would fall, but then you would see them appear from the
Above.
ceiling. So they would just
Okay.
essentially be in free fall forever.
I was honestly thinking about throwing a coin off because I had a feeling when you said there was no ceiling, something weird was going on.
Yeah, that's basically what it is. So it's just a big loop that if you jumped, you would just keep falling forever.
All right.
Well, the question is, do we rest in the hallway or should we try and cross the bridge?
Well, I don't think I would want to be surprised by another set of them. I prefer just crossing.
Very well, let's do it quickly then.
All right. All right. And I move out of the way and let Soren do his thing.
These doors appear to be essentially duplicates of the other doors, with the astrological design.
Well, I would still like to rogue, please.
Don't appear to be trapped or locked.
I attempt to try and push them open.
What you do, and this is where the map ends, and this is where there would be an additional map, but not particularly necessary. So I'm just going to move you guys back to the main map here.
All right.
I'll just describe.
And I think someone wanted a short rest.
So through these large doors is a massive sort of chamber, and there are rows of marble columns on either side of the room that stand about 30 feet tall, though they don't appear to actually support the ceiling that rises like hundreds of feet in the air. And in front of each column, you see more ornamental suits of armor that are holding a sword. They look kind of like what you just fought, but these appear a little bit different. And you can see that there's a bit of a dais, a little platform of stairs, and then there is a chair sitting on top of that. and you see a somewhat older looking gentleman has a graying beard and hair, um, a little I guess we'll say a little bit plump, not exactly a physical specimen. Um, and he sort of like is just kind of like rubbing his hands back and forth, not in any sort of sinister way, but you can see that he has some rings on his hands, um, and he just sort of looks at all of you and says, "Well, hello, friends. Getting through my tower was quite a feat and very impressive indeed. And now the more important question is, why would you go through all the trouble to see me? I don't recall inviting you here."
Um,
So I'm just having a drink.
yeah, yeah. He just is like very quiet and looks at between Soren and Lena.
Well, we heard about your chronomancy, and we're really interested in learning about some things.
Okay,
And
such
yes,
as.
there are a few things. One of those would be the Sun Elves, so something concerning the Drow. Myself, I'm a wizard, so I definitely have an interest.
And there's something personal I want to know as well.
Okay, and then he sort of looks at Ivar like, "And what about you?"
Well, I have many questions, but not in such personal ways. More of what I'm on this land for. It mostly having to do with the undead.
So you break into my tower and you just want my help for. I fail to see what I gain from this.
Hmm. We were told about you by where were the people, Soren? The city nearby.
In Bariana,
And of course, being a man in a land with strict laws against what you do, it is very interesting that you would choose to be here.
Well, mostly I just want to be left to study without interruption, and I've tried to follow all the proper channels of magic creation, but those in power like to hold on to that power and take great umbrage to anyone who may threaten it.
Hmm.
Yeah, under his breath, he sort of mutters that he uh, has no desire to play politics with those imbeciles.
Well, if it makes you feel any better towards us, we are not the government's favorite people either.
Yeah, we were arrested. It's kind of why we don't really have much to trade, I'm afraid.
yes, I think I was arrested for basically just having magic.
Hmm. I come from a different continent where I am very devout to my God, and they don't like that much here.
So we don't
She,
exactly have much to give, but I mean, we do travel a lot. If there's something out there that you want, we can always get it for you in exchange for the information.
Well, it has been a bit difficult to find volunteers to assist me in my research, and there are somewhat potential side effects for the things that I do: nausea, nosebleeds, and headache, and eye pain being the most common. Nothing too serious, temporary blindness, hallucinations, internal bleeding. slight brain fluid leakage from the nose and night terrors and loss of calcium in the bones and occasional sore throat.
Oh,
Oh yes, those sore
But
throats can be quite deadly.
and he sort of chuckles and like, well, you can't make omelets without breaking a few eggs, though, can you? And I I've performed this magic myself hundreds of times, and I'm mostly fine.
Well, perhaps we should start with what we can do for you to gain some favor and perhaps have a few questions answered.
Well, if you would be willing to assist me in the attempts to perform some of my magic, that should be a good start, I think.
Uh,
perfect.
I think we should all introduce ourselves first. Wouldn't you agree? Manners and all.
Yes, we can do that. I am Lena.
Hmm. They call me Ivar.
And I am Sorn. I am a wizard such as yourself from the Underdark.
Mm, all elves, I see. I am Archmage Remus Markhand of Zedeka.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
Half elf.
Yes, it's a pleasure to meet you.
And I'm going to quickly move you guys to the world map. And so Zedekar is on Medwin.
Okay.
World building.
And I was from over here, right? Where Ayla went?
Yes.
Niska? All right.
Yes, unfortunately, I've never heard of where you're from. We don't really get much news in the Underdark.
Or in this continent entirely.
Well, they don't much care for me there, so more of a title than a brag about where I'm from, I suppose.
Yes, well, I assume they don't like you much here either.
He sort of like looks at you a little bit like annoyed, but then he kind of like realizes that you're right, and he's like, it's not a big. People don't care for me much in most
Um,
places I've been.
if you don't mind me asking, have they tried to come into your tower?
Well, I'm was watching you as you came in, and I'm sure you saw some of the inhabitants of this area attacking my tower, the undead. And,
Anyone from the Empire? We saw corpses on our way in.
yes, that seems to be from a creature called the Mother, but I've not really run into much in the way of the Empire.
Hmm.
Oh.
Ah, yes,
We've had run-in with the mother as well.
agreed. She seems to have a penchant for the undead.
Yes, I've noticed as much. She's been trying to get inside my head since I arrived on this island, though partially why I built this tower is to avoid her, and I do have a inkling about who that creature actually is, though when I tried to tell the people in Barrena, they thought that I was some sort of madman.
Well,
No,
Oh,
we've
we would definitely
I
be interested.
I can assure you, if you tell me who she is, she will be taken care of.
Well, I suppose I could show you who she is.
He like uh Ivar kind of starts like looking around for like paintings and pictures and um I I don't understand.
with magic.
Like a magic picture?
An illusion or something.
Okay.
Um,
Well, I could certainly just show you who she is by giving you a glimpse of where she came from.
Like the chronomancy.
And he sort of just winks at you.
Is she behind all of the undead, or just part of the cause?
I'm not 100% sure, but I believe she's probably the general cause of most of the undead in this general
Storms?
area.
What about the storms?
I have reason to believe that she may be partially responsible at the very least. And as he's talking, you can see that he's already gotten up from his chair, and there's like a side table that he's got all these ingredients and stuff, and he's already starting to work on things. And um, I assume you'd all be interested in finding out.
We would. Is it okay if we approach?
Yes, please.
Start heading up the
Um,
stairs.
and yeah, same.
And there are some like on this sort of like platform upstairs. There's the center chair, and then there's like a table, and there's a few benches along the side, and he sort of just like motions for you guys to sit down.
Follow the instructions.
And you can see that he's Soren. You would recognize that he's sort of like putting together some spell components, and you can see that he is under his breath. You kind of hear him sort of like chanting these sort of like series of different phrases, um, and you're all just kind of sitting there, and he's not saying anything directly to you, and it's all kind of taking a bit longer than you were sort of anticipating because he's not really like discussing what it is that what he's doing, and you're just starting to think that maybe you're not really sure what's happening here, and you can see that he sort of like uh, seems to appear like he's finished whatever it is that he's doing, and he sort of like claps his hands really loudly, and then he walks over to you, and in almost like faster than you can like register his movement, he touches each of you on the forehead, and it feels like you're being pulled almost like through the eye of a needle. It's not painful, but it's very this sort of like disorienting feeling. It's still unpleasant. It doesn't hurt, but it's a bit of an unpleasant feeling. And you can see these streaks of light are sort of passing through your vision, and it feels like this is going on for just an eternity. It's like you're just almost like you're being pulled, and this light flashing before your eyes, and it just seems to take forever. And suddenly, after all of this time, you sort of you feel your vision sort of pull back and come into focus, um, and you seem to be in this long chamber that's filled with these massive crystals that are sitting in these metal racks that are lining both sides of the chamber. And as you look around, you can see that these crystals are going so far in the direction behind you that you can't even see where they end. Um, and as you're sort of like looking at the crystals that are closest to you, it appears that there are almost like humanoid shapes that are inside of these crystals. And to the other side of you, where behind you is this chamber that's going on forever, seemingly. But to the other side of you, you can see there are two elven women that are appear to be having a rather heated argument with each other, and you find yourselves sort of like moving without uh realize you're moving, but you realize that as you're moving towards these women, you have no actual control over your movement. You're just being propelled along by sort of unseen forces. And as you get closer, you can see a tall blonde elven woman with full plate armor and a shield on her back. And you can see that the shield bears a symbol of a large tree with a blazing sun behind it. And I don't know if you guys have ever seen this, but I'm just going to assume that you have. I don't think I've ever described it before, but I'm going to assume you guys have seen it. The symbol is the symbol of the Sun Elf Queendom, and I believe I did mention the fact that the elves are a matriarchal society, so they would have queendoms and not kingdoms. And the woman that this tall blonde elf is talking to is slightly shorter. She has a bit of a more reddish hue to her blonde hair, and on top of that reddish blonde hair sits a crown. Um, and you can assume, at the very least, that this person that she is speaking to is Phelan Arundel, who is the queen of the Sun Elves. And again, as you're progressively getting a little bit closer, you can hear the discussion that you're having. And the armored elf, you hear her say that, I will not leave you. You may entomb your other subjects, but you cannot do so to me. To which Phelan replies that I do not want to leave you, but we are running out of time, Tyria. If you do not enter stasis now, you will die, and I cannot bear it. Please do this for me. Tyria, who you all somewhat you would recognize the name, at least Soren would, and Lena maybe in the descriptions that Soren may have told you about of Tyria. She responds to Phelan, um, I have sacrificed everything for our cause, for you, and I will not leave you alone to deal with the repercussions. If you will not bring me back of your own free will, then I'm sorry, but I will force your hand. And as she says this, she draws her short sword and she places it between her neck and her collarbone and just thrusts it down. If you ever seen like the Roman way of killing somebody, essentially, because that's a quick way to end somebody, that jab down to the neck. And Tyria at that point just instantly sort of drops to her knees, and you can hear a few ragged breaths and a bit of choking on the blood that's coming up into her mouth, and she just sort of slumps down silent. And then you see Phelan, who does not look nearly as shocked or as upset as you would have expected her to be, but you can see that her eyes are welling up a little bit. Um, she takes a deep breath. She pulls this green stone from her pocket, and she gently touches the side of Tyria's face. And in a whispered voice, she says, "Look what they've done to us." And you can see the color slightly drains from Tyria's face. And a few moments, her eyes start to slowly open. As opposed to what you had just seen, her eyes now seem somewhat vacant. And she sort of stares up Phelan. And Phelan sort of slowly helps her get up to her feet and says, Tyria, my love, do you recognize me? And you can see that Tyria has this sort of 1,000-yard stare. But for this brief moment, there appears to be this spark of recognition, and slowly, and you can see that there's still blood sort of like pouring out the side of her mouth, and the sword is actually still sticking out of her neck. And this sort of low, sort of like guttural whisper, she says, and you can see that Phelan again touches the side of Tyria's face, and you can see that this tear rolls down the side of her cheek, and she has this sort of sad smile on her face. And then, as you can see, it's almost like if someone like flipped a switch. This sort of sad face of Phelan's, her demeanor instantly changes, and her eyes sort of appear to be staring daggers, looking almost like like she's looking directly at you, even though you're not actually there. And in this sort of terrifying voice, she says, "No, Tyria. Phelan Arundel is gone. They will suffer. They will writhe in agony. And they will beg for the end. And they will know that I am the mother of death." And at this point, your vision sort of shifts, and you slowly get pulled back, and you sort of all are blinking, and now you see yourselves sitting back in the chamber of Remus Mark.
I am not from here, and I do not really recognize any of these people or names. Does this make sense to you? And he kind of looks at the other two.
Yes. the this Tyria was the lover and paladin of the Queen of the Sun Elves.
And the queen was Phelan, the one with the crown.
It would seem so.
And it seems like Phelan is the mother?
Or at least the being inhabiting her. Because the stone was that of necromantic power.
Was that the stone that Tyria got that one time you were talking about?
I would assume so. Was it, Matt?
You're pretty good idea. It probably is, yeah.
Yes, I would assume so, yes.
So, this stone is being used to create these undead.
It would seem, yes.
I'm going to look at the Archmage and say, do you have any idea what this artifact is?
And he looks at-
Someone would, because it was in the book.
Yeah, it was in the journal.
Off the top of my head, I can't remember what it was.
I can't remember either. I gotta look it up quick.
It was the stone of something.
Yeah, Asherai, I believe.
Okay.
Yes, it was the Stone of Asherai.
I don't know much about arcane, but I do know arcane objects are quite difficult to destroy. So, I do not think that that will be our best bet unless we can gain it and perhaps bring it here to someone that would be powerful enough to destroy it.
There's a few problems, but there's a major one with that plan.
He looks confused.
The Sun Elf capital is quite deep into the Deadlands.
Um, I, what are Deadlands?
Someone will pull out his map and show him the relevant positions of where they are and where the former capital was. There is swaths of undead. There are those magical storms throughout the entire Deadlands.
And Remus also makes mention that those crystals that you saw, did you see people in them?
I did, yes.
I could not see the people. I saw the shapes. I wasn't able to discern who was who.
And he sort of, I'm gonna role play this, but like he explains that it's his belief, though he isn't 100% sure because he hasn't seen all the relevant information, but is at the very least his theory that what Tyria was making mention of at the beginning, that Phelan was basically asking her to go into stasis, and Tyria refused, and Phelan then basically raised her from the dead. Um, it is Remus's belief that Phelan put all of the Sun Elves into stasis, and then essentially moved the city of Tarma and Ionar to another plane of existence. And the storm is partially due to the the magic that was required to do such a thing, um, and that the undead, and I believe that actually this was something that I don't know, Tara's not here yet, but or not back yet, but um, the the elves that you found in Bariana that appeared to be fresh, that were wearing, nice clothing and such. Um, he is of the belief that Phelan has become a lich, and that liches um, need essentially souls to keep their power and to keep their undeath going, and that she's run out of souls, and that she is using the sun elves in stasis to keep herself going after all this time. And when doing that, the bodies of these sun elves are then essentially returned to the prime material plane where you guys are, and those bodies become undead. Now, he has no way to verify this, and whether or not you guys choose to believe him is another scenario entirely. But that's his idea. And also remember that this is a man who has been uh, kicked out of every place he's ever been, and the only reason that he's here is because they think that he's a psychopath. So take it with a grain of salt, but that's his current belief.
I mean, until we hear a more concrete answer, it's as good as a theory as any.
I believe that in her twisted way, this was the way that she thought she might save her people.
Well, desperate times call for desperate measures, unfortunately.
Hmm, there is no measures desperate enough to create these abominations.
I would agree. I mean, you can't exactly say you're helping your own people by using them like that or becoming a lich in the first place. And she glances at Ivar and Soren is like, I don't exactly know what a lich is. Is it an undead thing?
It's yes, a lich is someone who consumes the life force of others to extend their own.
In, I would say, worse than just undead, it is someone who chooses to be that way. Others are created, they create themselves.
Did the stone do it?
Would I have any sort of knowledge on the steps it takes to become a lich as someone who studies undead?
Do a religion check, I guess, with advantage.
I mean, it's possible that if the stone could have pushed her further down the path, if there was already signs or the inklings.
Um, Ivar, I would say that you're pretty familiar with the process of becoming a lich. With the whole idea of like
The potion and
the phylactery where you would
okay,
you house your soul, and the idea of like consuming souls to keep yourself going.
okay.
Um, but as far as like any knowledge about what the if the stone would be what prompted her to do so, I mean, you would probably not have a whole lot of familiarity with any object making somebody become a lich. You would know that in
They have
most
to
cases,
create an object to become a lich, but yeah, I don't think
well, yeah, I mean, like you would know that like the phylactery is the thing that you would create to become a lich, but whether or not like this object would have like possessed her and made her want to become or made her become a lich, you would
it
have
can.
probably never.
So I wouldn't know if there are objects that could help one become a lich either. Like that
None,
could, like,
none,
make it easier or teach you the magic necessary or something.
none that you would have been aware of. No.
Okay.
Generally, all of the things that you would have studied is that there are. I mean, for varying reasons, people do choose to do this. This is not.
Hmm.
This is a conscious choice. So you would have heard of anything like empowering somebody to make this decision
Okay.
or taking control of their mind.
He'll look to Lena and say, "Well, it's not to my recollection. Was there any sort of objects that help one become a lich? You have to create one to house your former soul in. Um,
Mhm.
but I mean, perhaps this would be a better question for Sorn or our new friend here. Are there objects that can, upon being touched, make one's mind think differently, or perhaps even control it to do something?"
Hmm, there would be sentient objects.
Hmm. Because
Yeah.
that I can see, but I do not see an object that would be able to help her become a lich. Maybe one that could force, but even that's beyond what I have studied.
I mean, sentient objects can range from trying to take over its user to just whispering or talking to them and sway them over time.
And it's generally people who succumb to these types of things. Either one have been in possession of an object for a very very long time, or are generally not of the soundest of minds. Although Phelan, from what I've seen and read, is seemed to be quite a competent, intelligent person. So it seems unlikely that she would have, at least initially, been overcome by anything other than possibly just exposure over time.
Hmm. Hmm.
But
Hmm.
as your friend here said, desperate times do create scenarios that people would do things they wouldn't have ever dreamed of doing.
Um, and I believe you said that this was this city, the capital, was brought to another plane. Do you know which plane it was brought to?
From what I can gather, it seems that it was created as a, for lack of a better term, a bit of a pocket dimension of its own creation.
So not one of the others that may have. Okay. Okay. I've heard of some dark representations of our world. I didn't know if it was perhaps just into another one like that.
If you refer to the Shadowfell, that is definitely not where it is.
I do know there's undead tendencies there as well. That was my first guess.
It seems to be a haven for the vampires in particular.
Hmm.
And so everybody make a Constitution saving throw real quick, just to see how you handled that vision. Um, Ivar, you've got a little bit of a nosebleed, but nothing that's like too concerning.
Okay. What about the wizard? Is he okay?
Oh yeah, he's perfectly fine.
Okay.
So after having your first taste of chronomancy, would you like to see anything else?
I have a quick question, if that would be okay first. I've been on other continents where magic is very commonplace. I've never heard of this type of magic before, this time magic. Where did you learn it?
Is, mostly self-taught. There are not any colleges that choose to teach such a thing. There's this unreasonable belief that this magic would possibly lead to going back in time and changing events that no one should be able to do, but I must say that's as tempting as that may sound. It's not something I've been able to accomplish at this point. I can only view things. I cannot change things.
That is quite a large worry.
I still find it much. I find it distasteful that people will teach necromancy, but they won't. They think that what I do is somehow heretical, and I find it very, very offensive and disgusting. And he's sort of trailing off, like he's just.
I would agree with the necromancy, but I can also see where some people may be worried that in the wrong hands this could be dangerous. Perhaps even just looking at what you just showed us. If someone who was in a situation like this was in possession of such magic as you have, they may try to find ways to change things.
He just sort of sniffs and is like, I only do this for knowledge.
Yes, that's what I mean with untrustworthy hands. You seem to be rather upstanding when it comes to these things.
Oh, from my experience, especially on the surface here, they have a distinct lack of understanding that magic is it's like a tool or a weapon. It isn't inherently evil, but the user's intent.
And I find it very inappropriate that people would find necromancy an appropriate tool to use, given that very topic, and then think that I'm some sort of evil person for choosing to view things that. I mean, no one even knows what happened with the Sun Elves, and that yet I find this, and everyone calls me crazy.
Oh, I certainly don't see you that way. I'm trying to make your point for you.
Yes, I would much rather have your magic be widespread than any sort of necromantic ones.
He does seem a little crazy, by the way.
That's fine.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm not like portraying it very well, but he seems a little bit wild-eyed. Like he doesn't seem like he's necessarily all there when he's talking. He seems very smart, but he also seems a little bit like he's kind of like in two
He's
places.
a fucking
at once.
hermit. He's like
Yeah.
here by himself all the time. You gotta assume he's gonna be nuts.
And you kind of get the impression that possibly this magic has taken its toll on him. Like it really does really feel like he's sort of in two places at once. Like he's talking to you, but it almost seems like he's not even like paying attention to what you're saying or what he's saying. He's definitely an odd man.
Now, with your magic, you can only look back, not forward.
So far, yes.
Well, I kind of look to Lena and Soren and just say, I'm apologize. I got a bit carried away with my questioning and the undead situation. Please, and he kind of just takes a couple steps back.
Is there anything you would prefer to know, Lena?
Well, actually, one of the things I was curious about was, don't know if you were as well, Soren, but knowing a bit more about Mr. Grayson, I'm not sure if it's something that chronomancy can help, since technically I don't think Mr. Grayson is his name, but, I mean, we can see something about him, maybe.
Well, if you wish, I can make myself look like him, if that'll help the process.
That's not really how this works. I can essentially. And he's sort of hesitant. You can see that he's like, I can essentially pull the memories from your mind and determine who it is that you speak of.
Ooh, okay. Let's try it then.
So he again starts this whole process all over again. It's the same thing. He starts, putting together these different, magical items, and he starts chanting the same thing sort of over and over again. And then again, as he's doing this, he just like moves faster than you can sort of like register, and touches you all on the forehead, and you feel that same sort of pull, um, and what feels like forever. You find yourselves standing in this room that appears to be made of stone, and you see that there are cages and what appear to be torture devices all over the room. And you can see that there are two unconscious figures chained to the wall that appear to be badly beaten. And by their appearance, you would assume that they are tieflings. And there also is a baby in the room with you as well, though thankfully not chained to anything. Um, and based on what you can see, you would assume that this baby is also a tiefling. Baby tieflings would not have horns just yet, but the burgundy colored skin and sort of outward appearance kind of leads you to believe that's the case. And in the room with these apparent prisoners chained to the wall, you see a large elven woman. I mean, she's uh, dressed down a bit in what you would describe, maybe like at best described as like a tank top. You can see that she's covered in sweat. And next to her is a table that is filled with these blood-covered instruments of torture. And in her hand, she's holding a hooked dagger. And she is slowly walking over to these tieflings and says, "It is a shame that has come to this. It will be no consolation to you, but I take no pleasure in this. I do thank you for your information. Rest well." And at that point, she quickly slits both of the throats of these tieflings that are chained to the wall. And then she turns her attention to this baby that appears to be sleeping at this point. And she's walking slowly towards it with this dagger poised in her hand, that's dripping with blood that she's just used to kill these people. And you can see that she grips the top of this baby's head and like draws the blade back. And just as she's about to pull the blade across this baby's neck, you hear a voice from behind her that yells out, says, "That is quite enough for today, thank you." You can see that the woman actually sort of appears to breathe a sigh of relief and steps back. And you can see a tall, slender elf with long black hair and sharp features and these piercing gray eyes. He is dressed in black leathers with this deep red cloak over top of them. And he says, "You have done good work. I will take it from here." And the elven woman kind of stands at attention as he says this and takes a short little bow and hurriedly walks out of the room. And even Ivar, actually, because you would have seen this man as well, you all recognize this tall, sharp featured, black haired elf as Inquisitor Elendor. And you can see Elendor watch as the woman leaves the room, and he appears to be counting under his breath. And after about a minute or so, he quickly walks over and picks up the baby, touches its forehead, and whispers something. And the baby appears to sort of relax and fall asleep. I forgot to mention the fact that as she was grabbing this baby's head, it woke up and started crying. So it falls back to sleep as he touches its forehead. And you can see that he wraps the baby tightly in his cloak, and he sort of inches slowly towards the door and looks down the hallways, searching, both ways to see if he can spot anybody. And he quickly slips out of the room, and you can see that your vision sort of follows him until he reaches the exit. And you can see that you've come up as he exits. You can see that you've come up from underground. You can't quite tell where you are now that you're on the surface based on the geography. You don't necessarily recognize any landmarks or anything. But he rushes away from the exit, running like as fast as he possibly can at this point. And after a short period of time, he stops. He checks on the baby, and you can see the image of Elendor sort of flickers and then fades away, revealing the image of a man that all of you but Ivar recognize as Mr. Grayson. And he looks sort of lovingly at this child and says, "Don't worry, I won't let them get away with this." And then the vision fades, and you're pulled back into the present.
but makes his motivations much more clear, I guess. And she glances at Sorn.
Yes, it would appear it's primarily for revenge and protecting the child.
And I'll say you guys also would recognize, although not, it's not 100% obvious, but you get the idea that like based on the skin color and everything, that this child would be Victoria, the child that Mr. Grayson claimed as his daughter. She has the same coloring as this baby. She has a very sort of a purplish red color, quite distinct, and was the same as the baby.
So at least we know why he's so protective.
And you also know that Grayson knows Elendor, and you.
Which will be a conversation if we ever find Grayson.
Which is another scenario that could have happened had you ever used that that portal, but
Didn't really get a chance.
didn't get a chance.
Hope.
Thanks to Ayla.
Yeah, I'm guessing we need to roll con saves again.
Yep, go ahead and do that. So,
Well, Soren, you just died.
Yeah, probably.
yeah, Soren, in this case, well, actually, Ivar, your nose is bleeding again. Lena, you have a very bad headache and your nose is bleeding. Soren, you feel really bad at this point. You have the combination of the nosebleeds, your head hurts, your eyes are really like, it's kind of like if you've ever had a sinus infection, like your eyes are very, very like sore. They feel like they're kind of like bursting from your skull. And you have a sore throat as well.
Well, clearly that can take a toll.
Yeah, that's it's a bit dangerous, I will say. But did you find anything interesting? I've never viewed that one myself. You kind of get the idea that like whatever it is that you're seeing, Remus is not participating in, so he did not see what you saw. And Ivar, you would be somewhat confused, in that you would have recognized Elendor, but you would have not recognized Grayson. So the idea that like Elendor turned into this other man, you would have been like, what?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, it gave us some insight on someone that we know. Thank you.
Which one do you know?
Well, we know the tiefling that Elendor turned into. His name is, well, he told us his name is Mr. Grayson. He helped us a lot, and he is trying to go against the Empire. And the baby that he saved is his daughter, Victoria. Well, not his daughter, I guess.
Yeah, you have no idea who the other tieflings were that were killed there.
Well, the only other thing I want to see is personal, so if there's any other things that we want to see beforehand, I'm fine to wait.
I do have something I wish to see. If you don't mind.
Of course.
And at this point, you can see that like that Markan's very excited. He's happy that you guys are so like eager to do this, because again, he's used to people thinking that he's an awful person for even attempting this magic. So the fact that you guys want to keep going, he's like, oh, yes, what's next? What's next?
I would like to see what happened when Nogosvad fell.
And you can see that without a word, he starts, prepping everything again and does the exact same process, touches you all on the forehead. And once again, your vision shifts, and now you find yourselves in the Underdark, which Soren would recognize. The other two, you wouldn't necessarily recognize that that's where you were.
We're in a cave.
Yeah, right. Soren, you familiar and somewhat comforting sight for you. Um, and obviously, for the other two, you would recognize that you've been in cave systems before, but this one feels particularly oppressive and claustrophobic. Um, and Soren, you recognize, the other two do not again, that you are standing now within the city of Nogasvad, which is an ancient drow city. The architecture is quite strange and unfamiliar to Ivar and Lena. It's both beautiful and unnerving as well. And you can see that there are a number of drow walking around the streets, appeared doing what appears to be routine business. Nothing in particular seems out of place or strange until you notice there is a drow walking down the street with three humans in chains. It's a man, a woman, and a young boy, and they all look somewhat emaciated and utterly miserable. When the woman stumbles, you hear the drow curse under his breath and sort of yank hard on the chains to pull her back to her feet. And she starts to apologize, but the drow seems to take no notice of this. And you continue to move along, and you see that there is a large cathedral in the distance, and there's this sort of shimmering white structure, the large number of spider motifs on the facade. And as you get closer, there is this sudden huge explosion, and you see the cathedral start to collapse in on itself. And it's initially unclear what's happening, but you can see a number of people starting to scatter from the surrounding area, and quite quickly there are other explosions, and you start to see the rubble of the cathedral being thrown up and out from beneath. You can see a number of large, sort of hideous creatures begin to pour out from underneath. Um, and you can see that there are multiple illithids and beholders are the first to appear from this rubble, followed by these sort of gigantic insectoid, almost beetle-like creatures. And finally, this virtual army of creatures bursts forth, and you see this large, shadowy figure rise from the rubble. These ghostly sort of wings slowly unfurl behind it, and these piercing, glowing red eyes open as you see these red eyes. You're immediately thrown back into the present. And as you sort of like reach this sort of like come back to consciousness, you feel like you've like been punched in the face, and all of you, without even a Constitution saving throw, your head is absolutely throbbing. But more than that, like this image of this shadowy figure is sort of like seared into your mind and your vision, that it just doesn't go away, and it is absolutely terrifying.
Could I make a check to see if I know what that was?
Um, I guess do a nature check. Ivar, do a religion check. Yeah, both of you are quite convinced that that is a demon.
Okay.
Soren, what was that?
That was a demon. It seemed to be leading an army of illithids, beholders, and other creatures.
Is this where you came from? Was this your city?
Not mine in particular, but in the Underdark below Valana, there are 3 dwarven cities, and now there are only 2 drow cities. Both of the kingdoms underneath have a constant fight to try and reclaim it. But we never knew what happened or what was behind it.
Is there anyone that you need to get this information to?
Yes. My entire purpose for coming to the surface was to try and find information on what happened.
Hmm? Where do you have to bring it?
Well, probably to one of the drow cities.
Well, we can definitely head there together relatively soon. I mean, we are in the south.
Hmm?
And you can see that that Remus sort of looks at you, Sorn, and I mean, I'm assuming he's hearing you discuss these things, but um, he asks you if, in relation to this vision, have you come across anything, any items that would consider to be of a dark origin?
Yes. We, myself and two others, not the two travelling with me now, were on the island of Elianshar, and we uncovered this ring-like object which had a sinister aura.
I there's a possibility some of these things may be related. If you don't mind, I'd like to see if I might be able to show us something else.
If you wish.
Yes, go ahead.
And so he goes through the whole process again. Again, as he's doing this, he sort of warns you all that just as a reminder that attempting to view history is and items is could prove a little dangerous. And he doesn't give you any opportunity to sort of raise any questions or object. He just mentions the fact that, like, looking at the history of dark objects may be a bad idea, and then he touches your forehead.
My type of wizard.
But at this point, again, you go through that whole thing where your vision is pulled through the eye of a needle, and this was a little bit different. And I'll say that he did mention this as well, is that sometimes the way that chronomancy works is that you do see like specific events, like you did with Phelan. You like see an actual event in time, but sometimes you get sort of like a jumbled uh, mass of things, kind of like that don't necessarily happen in sequence. So you just sort of get like a bunch of visions all mashed together. And in this instance, you find yourselves looking like it almost looks like you're looking through like red tinted glass. Everything looks a little out of focus. And so in this case, rather than seeing sort of specific events, you feel almost as if information is being like implanted directly into your brain. And you can see the creatures that you are entirely unfamiliar with working on this very large looking like contraption or machine. And through their discussions and things, and again, this is sort of like you're getting understanding of things that almost feel like they're just being implanted, and you're getting this idea that the purpose of this machine is actually to transport things between realms on a very large scale. This intended purpose of this machine, that these creatures that you're not familiar with, it appears to be non-nefarious and just a rather convenient way for trade and commerce to happen between planes of existence. And the machine that's being created and these creatures are not of the prime material plane where you guys reside. That much is very certain to you. But the images that you're seeing appear to be jumping all over the place. You witness the machine working as intended for what seems like thousands of years. But eventually you see one of these creatures is being shown to betray his brethren and make a pact with a being from another realm. And now you find yourselves in a sort of fiery, hellish landscape, and a horned creature slowly walks towards you. And this being begins to speak, and it feels like your mind is being torn apart. Everybody go ahead and make a wisdom saving throw.
Ooh.
Oh, thank God.
Wow, you all did quite well. Lena, however, okay. Lena, you are actually instantly ejected from the vision, and you take 26 points of psychic damage.
Ouch.
Um,
Still up.
Ivar and Sorn, you are now staring at the face of the king of the nine hells, Asmodeus.
The paladin's not going to be happy with that.
So you see that in this vision, again, you have no control over this vision, but just the presence and hearing the voice of Asmodeus has actually knocked Lena out of the vision. But Asmodeus, you find, has plans to move entire cities from the nine hells into the prime material plane, with the dragon Tiamat as his vanguard. The final thing you see is one of these creatures that you don't recognize, and not the one who betrayed the others. You see one of them breaking the machine and basically running away. Now, how the ring that you found made it into that crystal cave where you found it is somewhat unknown, but you understand that it was probably hidden quite a long time ago. Its true sort of nature and purpose lost until just about now, where you understand why it was hidden, so that Asmodeus could not use this machine for his purposes. But as you see this, you don't actually see this person hiding it in that cave, but you see this person breaking the machine and taking pieces and running off. And then that is where you all return to the present as well. And Lena, in a fair amount of distress, having seen Asmodeus, actually, all of you having quite a bit of stress, having seen him and heard his voice. But Ivar and Soren able to sort of withstand even just the vision of him. It was enough to cause damage to Lena.
Yep, she's just lying on her back, staring at the ceiling, being like groaning.
I'm gonna
Oh,
look
wait.
at the. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Nope, that was it.
I'm gonna look at the mage real quick and. Bit of warning next time, maybe.
Well, I've sort of kind of warned you that this could be dangerous, and
Well, you didn't warn us that we'd be trying to see and hear Asmodeus.
he's sort of like, apologies.
So that's what it was.
Yep, Lena sits up. Can second wind be used anytime? Or just in battle?
Why not?
I mean, it's a
Okay.
bonus action. You can do that whenever, right?
Yep.
Yeah, she gets her 15 HP back.
Well, if you're interested, I currently know the location of the ring.
The part of this machine.
Yes, it's in Barriena.
It needs to be destroyed.
I would agree, but unfortunately I was not powerful enough to do it.
You have my help now.
We actually
But
handed it off to a paladin himself of... Was it Cord, I believe?
No, it was a dwarven one.
Gorn was it Gorn?
Go on, sorry,
Can't
yeah.
remember.
is it Gorn or Gran? It's one of those two.
It's Gond, Gond.
Gond, yeah, sorry. It's, I believe he followed Gond. He's currently in Bariana trying to hold off the undead.
Hmm.
Lena gets back to her feet and kind of rubs a sleeve under her nose, probably.
Yeah, you probably all have bloody at the very least. You all have headaches. Your eyes all hurt, and even though you, Soren and Ivar, you didn't take damage from it. You all are still absolutely terrified. I mean, this is not
Mhm.
just like a scary thing that you saw. This isn't just like, watching the movie It and you saw a crazy, scary clown. Like, this is like evil.
Looking into fucking Satan's eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
so
mean, this is like very, very upsetting to have seen, and especially to have heard his voice.
I mean, so we went from being terrified of a demon to being
To
even
to
more
that being like
terrified.
nothing. That was like a walk in the park. That demon was nothing. Like, you could look at that all day.
Hmm.
But the reason that Remus showed that to you is that he believes that there may be some connection between um, those demons and Asmodeus himself.
They may also have something to do with Tama Iana disappearing.
It would appear so, yes. What we were originally sent down here for was in the city, Bariana, yes?
That is correct, yes, to help with the undead problem.
If we were to go there, and I turn and look at the mage, and return this object to you, would you be able to destroy it?
Maybe?
Would you be willing to, if you could?
Have no desire to have demons kill me, so I suppose I would try my best.
Yeah, I kind of look at Lena and Soren and just say, "Hmm, we need to be there anyway."
I have only one more question if you'll humour me.
And then one last one for me after, I guess.
Would you be willing to teach this magic?
Possibly, but this is not something that would be quick. I suppose if you want to go off and find this thing, this would be something you would have to commit to. You couldn't just learn a few things and then run off and find demon rings.
I understand.
On a side note, this was just me trying to turn this into the Lord of the Rings. So now you have to take the ring to Mount Doom.
I'm good with it.
Technically, we might have to take it under Mount Doom.
Yes, you guys but you need to find a couple halflings and some and a dwarf, or it's not gonna work.
Well, I will be making my new character immediately.
Because there's 7 of them. I can't even remember how many there is in the Fellowship.
Oh my
Anyway.
god, the Fellowship, I think it is 6 or 7, yeah.
Because it's Aragorn and
Aragorn, Boromir, Legolas, Gimli, Sam,
Frodo
Frodo,
and Sam. So that's 6. Is it just 6?
Gandalf, which is 7. You also had
Yeah,
Merry and Pippin, which is 9.
Oh, yep. Right. So yeah, we need 6 more players.
Easy.
Although at the end, let's be real, only 2 of them make it, so we're all right.
That is true.
Yep.
And Sauron can be Asmodeus.
I mean,
The
close
Eye of
enough.
Asmodeus.
I mean, that vision that knocked Lena out was pretty on par with Sauron's eye.
Right. I should have done the I see you. Yeah.
Yeah, followed by 2 players left, and they're going, nope.
Yeah. So there's like 45 or 50 different paths to look for now.
Mm-hmm. That's how I like to do things.
All right.
So, I have a pretty good idea about the other things that you guys wanted to see. There was one thing that you had mentioned to me, Rob, that I think you had said that you might want to see. Or it may have been Lena
I'm
about
just gonna check.
Nethlindir.
Nope, that wasn't Lena's.
Okay.
It could have, but me, I'm just going through all the messages.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. Like you wouldn't find that much out, but if essentially Rena says, I mean, like you would have to become his student, and you would have to study for years to learn anything from him as far as like chronomancy is concerned.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, luckily, Blade Singers don't have a school of magic.
Which is one thing I've always tried to do. Like when I played Wizards, is like I pick a school, and then I only learn spells from that school, just because I think it's kind of a neat idea that I wish D&D would sort of like build upon. It's just like I'm a wizard and I can do everything. It's like I think it'd be cool to like be a necromancer or whatever it may be.
So, I mean, to be fair though, some schools don't really have that many. Like necromancy doesn't have that many.
It doesn't have enough exactly, which is another
Big
problem
problem
with it. But I like that idea. Kind of going back to like the Harry Potter idea is that like you have the teachers that like I teach the dark arts. Like that's the thing I do, right? Like I think it's kind of a cool like I study this. I went to school for this. But yeah, there aren't enough. I think if you went with homebrew, you could probably put together enough because there are plenty of like homebrew spells that you could build.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so apart from that, yeah, I don't think there's anything else that Son really has.
I mean, if Ivar wasn't so focused on the undead and what he wants to know, I'm sure he'd have more questions. But as of right now,
And that leaves Lena's, I guess. Yeah, she kind of looks at the 2 of you again and is like, well, if you 2 are done with your questions, there's one more personal one that I want to ask.
By all means.
And she looks at the Archmage and she's like, well, I want to know what happened to Scarlet Elismator after she was arrested for using magic.
Okay, and goes through the whole process again. You guys have the pull and the vision, and you find yourselves viewing 2 elven men that are standing outside of a closed door. So you're like in a hallway, and you're sort of standing behind these 2 guys that are facing a closed door, essentially. And the door appears to be at the end of a long hallway that's dimly lit. And the door in front of these men appears to be quite heavy and actually has the symbol of the Ashran Empire emblazoned on it. And the symbol is actually of the moon with a red, all-seeing eye in front of it. I don't think I've ever described the symbol of the Ashran Empire, but that's it. And both of these men look quite nervous. And one of them says, "Gods, what have you got us into now, Malar? She's liable to kill us." And the other man sort of like keeps staring at the door as if he didn't even hear this other person talking to him. And from the other side of the door, you can hear Ullman's voice say, "Enter." And you can see both men sort of like visibly swallow as they enter the door. And you guys kind of like your vision sort of like follows behind them, and they both enter into the center of this room and stand at attention, and place their right arm across their chest as a salute. Um, and you can see there's a large ebony desk with a large chair that's actually turned away from you, so you can't see who's sitting in this chair at the moment. And it's facing this large panoramic window, out of which you notice that you are most likely, you would guess you might be in Tessera. You can see that you're actually quite high up, and you can see that there is a large cityscape sprawling out in front of you from this window. The room itself is decorated in these dark reds and blacks, and you can see a number of Imperial banners hanging on the walls. And the chair slowly turns around to reveal this red-haired woman who's an elf with a patch over one eye, and she stares down at both of these men with this like sort of look of utter disgust and says, "So you were tasked with retrieving sensitive information from our enemies. Not only were you unable to get this information, but you allowed the prisoners to escape, who then killed some of your comrades on the way out the door. Is that the summation of events?" And one of the men steps forward and says, "Please, Grand Inquisitor, I was in charge of this operation. The blame lies entirely with me. Please spare all those who were under me during the escape." And without a word, you see this woman pulls out a pistol and shoots the man in the forehead. She says, "I will not tolerate incompetence or sniveling. So, do you think that you can do better than your friend here?" She looks at the other man who she did not just shoot. And at that point, the vision ends and you are pulled back to the present.
Lena just looks so pale right now. Her eyes wide.
I assume that's the friend you were looking for.
Well, maybe? And then she just sits down. Well, that was not what I expected.
Is there anything you must do with this information?
No, I'm not entirely sure how to feel right now.
So I guess do I mean I guess all of you just do a history check real quick. Ivar, you might be at disadvantage, but
14 it is.
One of the things, like obviously, Sorn and Ivar, you didn't notice. I mean, you didn't know any of these people, but you would recognize at least like the general sort of decor and everything, and the fact that this woman was called Grand Inquisitor. You would notice a few things. One, this appears to be the offices of the Inquisitors, with the red and the black, and also noticing the fact that this person was called Grand Inquisitor, which is a very, very high-ranking title amongst the Empire and amongst the Inquisitors themselves. And also, you would know that that would also be someone who would be higher up than Elendor was, because his title is Inquisitor.
Awesome. So apparently the Grand Inquisitor was after us.
Yes, it seems like it. I know who she is.
Evar just looks extremely confused at everything.
I mean, to be fair, Bjorn probably wouldn't have been any more clued in.
Yeah, I mean, he's from a completely like different area. Like, so these people, like, even recognizing names and stuff, he's not exactly sure who everyone is and everything. So he's just like,
I mean, you would be familiar with. I would say that you would have known enough about the Inquisitors in Elendor because he would have been the one that was who had arrested you, and
okay,
I think Elendor probably also would have been one of those people that would have been very happy to explain the situation that you were in and about the Empire and about the Inquisitors. Like I think Elendor is one of those people that would have been a bit of a braggart, and that he would have wanted to make sure that everybody knew who he was and what
Mhm.
he was doing and how important he was. So I think you would at least that you would have some familiarity with the Inquisitors as a group, and you would have recognized him when Grayson was disguised as him.
okay,
And Grand Inquisitor probably you would just understand.
high rank.
Yeah, but you wouldn't know who this was, and Elendor is one of those people as well who would not have mentioned anything like that because that would have lessened his importance discussing
Mhm.
people who were bigger than him, right? So,
Okay,
but everything else, I mean, like obviously the undead demons and stuff would have been interesting to you, but
mm-hmm. Yeah,
it's
that.
not your area of expertise. But paladins would still have a pretty big interest in demons.
Oh yeah, I mean, he definitely has a big interest in that. Everything else is kind of like, not my problem.
Yeah, the Inquisitors would be seemingly a bit more like a political thing to your
Mhm.
mind.
Okay.
But yeah, that's definitely not what Lena would have been expecting to see.
Nope.
I mean, technically, we should be honoured that someone as high up as a Grand Inquisitor wants to arrest us.
I just really don't understand it because, I mean, oh, well, I mean, okay, I trust you too now. Then she kind of glances at Ivar and is like, oh, you've been good too. I trust you. Uh, she's actually, well, she was a soldier in Baranor. Just a simple soldier. I mean, she did do interrogations. But the last time I saw her, she was being arrested for using magic.
Yes, this country does have a backwards way on magic, considering most elves and half elves have magic naturally.
Well, I mean, and you guys would also know, I mean, like the Mordoon use magic, so like it's this weird sort of like you're all acutely aware, and even Ivar would be aware that like there's this strange sort of like hypocritical nature behind the Empire, in that it's like they only have a problem with magic when people other than themselves use it. So like almost everyone in the sort of like the authority of the Empire uses magic, and they don't even necessarily attempt to hide it. Like people are aware that the Mordoon are magical in and of themselves. Now some of them are somewhat I don't want to say created, but at the very least their magical abilities are enhanced by the things that they do to them. But even the Inquisitors themselves are not uh they're known to use magic in their interrogation and things like that. So it's not unheard of that people in power use magic. It's just essentially what's okay for us is not okay for you, which is some of the reason that, that even Grayson made mention to you in the very beginning was that, that this is garbage. Like you say that magic is bad and that people can't use it, and yet you use it against all of us. So
Yeah. Hmm. Well,
I feel like
I,
I like the whole purpose of me giving you this background was to like make some things clear, and I think that I probably just made it more more worse for all of you, actually.
Well, I think for the players it makes more sense, but for
Yeah,
the
for
characters it's kind of like, what the fuck does any?
Yeah, for the
Yeah.
characters, it's like you've just hit us with too much at once. Give me a second to breathe.
I mean, I think for the players, at the very least, at least you know a bit more about the Sun Elves and who the mother might be,
Mm-hmm.
which was my favorite thing to write, actually.
Well, I know
Yep.
the other two players aren't going to be happy with Sorn's suggestions.
Well, Soren's like, yeah, let's go to the Underdark. Forget the undead.
I mean, technically,
I mean-
that's kind of what he was going to suggest.
Well, see, that's the thing. Like, I kind of loop myself into like where my guy is like he's somewhat like Ayla, not in the sense that he's gonna screw everyone over, but he has his mission. Like, I don't know what he's gonna do if everyone's like, "Oh, let's go do this instead."
Well, the way that I'm thinking of it for Sorn is if we deal with the Underdark situation, you've technically got two armies to help deal with the encroaching undead.
But the other thing that you would keep in mind, and it's something that even like Remus could state, is that he can't pinpoint exactly time frames exactly. But as far as like the events that he showed you, sort of like the thing that happened the most recently was the Grand Inquisitor. Like that's the thing that's happened closest to the present. Obviously, the scene with Phelan is almost 500 years ago, but not quite, because obviously this was the end essentially of the war. So a little, I said that backwards. So it would be like 502 or 501, 500 years in a couple months, you know, that kind of thing. Like it's a little before the end of the war. The depiction of Asmodeus would have been a really, really long time ago. And also the events with the Nogus Vad in the Drow city, that would have been quite a while ago as well. This would not have been in Sorn's lifetime. So Lena's kind of stuck in a rock and a hard place because the depiction of what she saw, if she wants to investigate that, you all kind of got the idea that, like, especially, I mean, Soren and Lena, you guys have both been in Tessera, so like what you saw out the window seemed familiar enough. Like you didn't necessarily recognize buildings, but like there aren't a whole lot of places on Valinor that would have looked like that. So, and you also know that that's where the Inquisitors are headquartered, is in Tessera. Two and two together, probably not a good place to go right now, but that's where that's where you think she is.
Yeah, I think at the moment it's trying to decide the least worst horrible place we can go to.
Yeah. So I mean, like, for all intents and purposes, I mean, unless there's anything specific that you want to do, I mean, we can kind of end it there, and then we can kind of like continue discussing, you know, the game. But like, as far as the game itself, we can kind of like stop it there. But as far as like discussing what you guys want to do, and if I can answer questions about like other stuff that might help you decide. I mean, like, just remember, I mean, like, if you're attempting to go to like, you know, the Underdark and stuff, I mean, you saw illithids, you saw beholders, you saw a
Yeah.
giant demon, and the dwarves and the drow have been attempting to reclaim this city for a very, very long time and have been unsuccessful. So the three of you just appearing and being like, yeah, we'll take care of it for you at level 5, probably not something that would be the smartest thing in the world.
I'm like, I My guy, I mean, he has his mission. He knows what he wants to do. I just do not know how he's going to take it that not everyone is going to be with him.
Well, at the moment, Lena does not want to go anywhere near Scarlet, so she is fine to kill some undead as well.
I mean, as it stands, like I would say that, like from everything that you saw, everything that you asked, I mean, obviously the most pressing thing would be the undead. Um, and as far as the events that are currently going on Valinor, I would say the things that are most pressing, in far as like things that are actively happening, are there are three things actively happening right now. There's the increase of the undead in Byriana. There is the quarantine of Rune Tall, which also includes the military approaching and keeping people from leaving and entering that place.
And
And
all the
then also,
craziness up north.
yeah, well, the fighting between the tribes north of Ferndale, that would be the things that are like currently happening at the moment. The
Well,
other
up there
things are
too,
like,
isn't there that the undead rumors up north too, like vampires taking over?
well, yeah, I mean, like the it's those that like it's cult activity is the largest thing, and the vampires are sort of like rumors.
Okay.
It's a little bit different, like in the undead in that sense, is that like, I mean, for me personally, yes, they're undead, but I sort of like consider the vampires to be sort of like a separate thing from like the quote unquote undead. So like you're
They're
talking,
vampires.
they're vampires. They're not like walking corpses, right? Like, I mean, I guess I guess technically they are, but they're sentient higher beings versus like zombies, right? Like, so
Yeah.
when I think of undead, that's what I'm thinking of, is like walking
A
corpses.
skeleton
Yeah,
slowly
exactly.
walking towards you.
Yeah, like that's kind of what I think of when I think of undead. And the vampires are in my mind, and in this world, they are. I'm taking again I did it in our previous game, and like I take the more of the approach of the Witcher as far as the vampires are concerned, is that they
Yeah.
are higher vampires. They are essentially um sentient. I mean, like for all intents and purposes, like they could be like an elf or they're just a different sort of race of being. They happen to be undead, but they're not mindless and they're not controlled by anybody else. Like it's very, very, very unlikely that a necromancer could control a vampire. I mean, a lesser vampire maybe, but not what you think of when you think of like the sentient, like I guess
Yeah.
for lack of a better term, like sort of the Dracula type vampire.
Hmm.
But yeah, I mean, those are the events that are currently happening as you speak,
I,
and not
I think one thing probably all three of us will agree on is the very next step is Bariana.
Yeah.
Yep.
because I mean you get to the Underdark most readily from Ithilram, which is like on the way after you leave Bariana if you survive.
Alright.
And we'll I mean we can pick it up and we can do a bit of role play if we want, but I mean like if you decide to do that, I mean like Remus would again, he would be willing to accept you as a student, Soren, but it would be one of those where you would essentially have to stop adventuring, right? Like you would have to just stop going out and doing whatever you wanted to do. You would have to stay with him to learn.
Yeah, I figured as much.
So that would be after, like, that could be the end of the campaign. That's what Soren goes off and does, is like, oh, I'm gonna go become a chronomancer or something. But
Well,
or
Nope, give him a new character sheet. He's doing it
yeah,
now.
well, if that's the case, yeah, learning chronomancy can be his like into the sunset type moment. But would I be able to copy some of his spells down out of his book?
yeah, I'll yes, you probably can, but we'll figure that out at the beginning of the game next week because I don't want to like
Yeah.
throw it off the top of my head right now.
Yeah. I mean, it's strange to say because I never really tried to do this, but Bjorn might make a comeback if shit does not work out the way Ivar expects it to.
Well,
Mm.
the way I've thought of it is that after we've dealt with Barry in it, we would have to head back up to On Kaima. So it would be kind of
Because you do have a contract to deal with the undead in
Yep.
Bahrain.
Yeah, that is true.
So we could also to take a peek at the tribes.
In which case, you may want to see if you can find Bjorn, because I mean, he would probably have some knowledge about that the rest of you wouldn't. I don't know how the hell you'd find him now, but
Well, I mean, we're standing next to a guy who could look back in time. We could say, "Can you tell us where this guy was?"
that's true. That's true. But yeah, I mean, like, you also, I mean, just to pick up on some of the things that you talked about before. I mean, like Garland in Valriena, the gnome had made mention of the fact that like he believed that there were tunnels under the dead fields that would lead you to Trauma and INR, and he believed that the stone of Asherai was actually still there.
Well, I mean, even if it is in the freaking city, the city's on another plane now, so
Possibly,
that's like
if you believe the crazy chronomancer, yeah.
I mean, considering we've got nothing better to work with out of theories, so he's at the top of the
crazy
list.
doesn't mean wrong.
Yeah,
This is true. Crazy doesn't necessarily mean wrong.
Holy
but I mean, like
shit.
the and here's the thing, like what's been like there have been descriptions of the dead fields, right? And so what people have seen is that like the cities of the Sun Elves were essentially leveled. So there were you may see like a few walls and such like still standing, but whether or not that they've been leveled from war, they've been leveled from the storm, or they've been leveled because they were moved to a different plane, I don't know, right? Like it could be any of those things. So that's just one of those theories that nobody ever assumed that was the case. There is one other thing that you guys didn't ask him that I might have him show you next time, just because I think it might be interesting for your characters to know, and actually players to know as well. But related to the Sun Elves, so he might show it to you. Is if you guys say that that's where you're going, he might show it to you as something that he had seen that you might find interesting.
All right.
cool.
But I hope that none of you assumed that Phelan was the mother. I mean, like before I told you that's that's what it was.
I honestly thought it was the female paladin. I thought it was Tyria.
You thought Tyria was the...
Yeah. I part of me for a while thought it was Ayla. I mean,
She's
yeah.
scarred him.
Yeah.
Every big bad for every future campaign, Ayla.
Yep. But I mean, like obviously, there's you saw the very end, so there certainly would be more to the story than what you had seen. I mean, obviously, like Tyria also just killed herself, and then became undead as Phelan brought her back because she refused to go into stasis with everybody else. So, and actually, as a side thing, this is like not part of the game, but like I guess it could technically be part of the game. But Ivar, do a religion check with advantage.
Ew.
So I would say that like just as a having heard the description that Soren had said, and you would have probably even recognized that Tyria, what she was wearing and that type of thing, and then like Soren telling you who she was, you would have an idea that two things. One, if someone chooses to become undead, they can sometimes retain some of their previous self, not entirely, but you would know that in cases like that, and especially in cases of very powerful warriors, they are often raised as death knights, which are undead, but are something wholly different than like a zombie or something like that. So I would say that, like, you would have an idea that if that's what she was and that's what happened to her.
That's bad fucking news.
So yeah, death knights are definitely a scary thing. And just from your knowledge, you've seen enough and you knew about liches and things like that like that would be your guess as to what Tyria became.
Okay.
Because you needed more scary things for you all to see.
I mean, it's just going from bad to worse.
Yeah, I mean, his mind right now is completely like, I'm one fucking person over here. I am fucked.
You do know that there's another dwarven paladin who may offer assistance in Byrena, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, sure. Two of us will take on the fucking the mother and everyone else by ours. Yeah. This is see in his because I mean we're still low level, so this shit just stuff he's read and stuff like that. He's never experienced any of it, so he's like, we need an army.
Well, and I'll even say too. I mean, like even like from the things that you've learned and the things that you've seen. I mean, you guys definitely want to go and research Bahrain. That's the thing that you definitely think. But the idea of maybe going to Tarma and Ironar and truly looking into the mother, given what you've seen, probably as you said, level 5, also probably not a great idea.
Mm-hmm.
So like I'm kind of like teasing in-game scenarios for you guys with Asmodeus and the mother and stuff, but yeah, I'm not necessarily saying you should go and try and fight either of them at the moment.
There's no post to other continents from this one, right? Like, there's no like, are there like ships that take it, or is it just like completely cut off?
You could probably pay somebody to do it. It wouldn't there. I would say there probably not a whole lot of official channels. At least not one. Like there would be official channels that the Empire themselves would use, but not to the general public. But you could probably pay somebody to do so. However, it would take forever
Yeah.
to get anywhere.
I mean, because he's thinking like send fucking messages back to the other temples and get fucking backup on the way.
So I mean, again, Valinar on this map here is much larger than it would actually be in reality.
Oh, it's only 55 feet away. We're fine.
Yeah, exactly. It's no big deal. But yeah, it takes roughly about 3 months to get to anywhere else via ship from Valinar.
All right.
Which I mean, probably here. I don't have. I would assume that there is likely a name for this particular island, but that's got to be the closest. It's only 32 feet away, but that because this is basically where the port is right here. So I mean, like that's probably the fastest you could get anywhere.
Yeah, because everything else is like actually substantially further. Wow.
And again, I mean, it's actually even further than that because Valinar should probably be about half the size it actually is on this map. But I wanted it to be large enough that you could kind of like see the shape of the island and not just be a little dot on the map there.
If only I was a cleric, I could just use sending.
Well, yeah, or if Soren was a higher level, he could learn because sending was in the spell book. No, scrying was not sending.
Scrying was. I'm trying to get that high.
What level do you have to be to do sending?
He already could if he had it.
You don't have it. I was gonna say because I thought it was relatively low because I know that like Jester was using it pretty early.
Pretty sure it's level 3.
I think
definitely level 2 or 3.
Yeah, because I mean,
yeah, Astrid was having fucking phone conversations with everyone.
Yeah,
she was constantly just like, "Hey, what's going on? How you doing?" And most of the time, nobody responded to her. They're like, "Please stop calling."
Yep.
All right, so we will pick up next week with the idea that you'll probably be heading to Bahrain to